Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another episode of the podcast here with the living legend himself, Jay DeShong. How are you doing?
Doing all right, dog. Legend is I think that's really nice of you.
In my eyes, I see legend because I mean, we talked earlier this week, and this story is going to be great to hear.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Let's walk through.
Sure.
Let's walk through. Let's start with you. Start with where you came from. Tell me everything.
So I'm originally from Biloxi, Mississippi. That's the area I say I'm from. I'm really from D'Iberville, and honestly, I bounced around the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. So I was born in Van Cleve, which is like small, like don't wear shoes, exactly what you think about Mississippi type deal. Family ran a restaurant out there for a little bit. After they got done doing that, so my family ran a catering business for like 25 years. Did that. And then once they were done, they ended up moving to – actually, I moved with my mom because I lived with my grandparents for a little bit. I moved with my mom to Ocean Springs, which was one of like the bigger, nicer places on the coast. And then after I ended up leaving from living with her to live with my grandparents again, I went to D'Iberville. So D'Iberville is kind of like North Biloxi, if anybody watching is familiar. But yeah, it's just like that's kind of where I'm from.
I'm going to have to take a trip down there. I hear the food's amazing.
It's awesome, dude. Yeah. There's nothing like Southern food, especially seafood. Yeah.
I got to get into sushi and stuff like that.
Dude, the Arizonans out here just don't like seafood. Man.
I feel like it's tough just because, we're kind of not on the coast.
That's it. Yeah, you're landlocked is what they say, right? Yeah. And I get it, but like, guys, you know.
I know. I wish I mean, I love like salmon,
right.
All the like different types of seafood.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get on the sushi. Like
at least you're eating fish. I feel like that's the hardest thing for people to get into.
I don't know why. I don't know if this is weird or not. I'll probably get flamed for this, but I put tahini.
I'll probably look. You're getting flamed for your fish. I'm putting on chapstick.
No,
so.
I got. Hang on.
You got some too. Look, we'll keep it here.
Check this out. Peppermint Burt's Bees.
We're both Burt's Bees, dude. Nice. Cool.
I'll pull it. Yeah, this is right.
That's awesome.
You guys know who's today.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yellow and red.
But no, yeah. So Mississippi.
Yep.
Continue.
Yep. South Mississippi. So I grew up playing a lot of sports.
Yeah.
I grew up playing a ton of sports: baseball, basketball, football. I was just telling the story the other day. Actually, I ended up playing baseball my whole life, all the way through high school. But I remember the moments when I decided to stop playing basketball and football, and it was basically like Wayne. Shout out to Wayne, way bigger than me when we were younger. And I remember we were 12 years old and we were playing little league basketball, and I was standing under the rim. I was tiny. I'm still tiny, but I was real tiny back then, like 5 foot. 70 pounds soaking wet. Yeah. Wayne was like 6 foot 180.
How old were you at this time?
Like 10, 11, 12.
Oh,
not
6 foot at 10?
Dude, he was huge. He may have been like 5'10". Like there's a picture. Maybe we can pop it up. I'll send it to Alex. But yeah dude, Wayne was way bigger than me. And I'll never forget. I was standing under the rim and he was running at me. And I remember thinking like, oh, this is it. Like I'm going to get in the way. I'm going to reject it, And I went to jump. Like I went to jump.
That's
and
ballsy.
He just knocked me down. And I remember like looking up at him as he's standing over me, scoring a basket, almost dunking at 12. Just being like, this isn't for me. That's for him. and it had the similar story with football. But yeah, growing up doing that, and eventually stopped doing baseball. So for a bit, I think my plan was to go to college and play baseball. Actually, I was supposed to get a Millsaps, which is kind of I liken it to GCU in a way. I think it's a Methodist private school in Jackson, Mississippi.
Gotcha.
My brother played football there. I knew my family was pretty involved with the school there. So my plan was to go and play baseball, but I kind of fell out of love with it. To be honest, I played baseball for a really long time, and honestly, just like my high school environment just kind of made me fall out of love with the game. And I ended up picking up gaming, as kind of a result of it. And I always grew up playing games. I grew up on Mario, and that's where I started, Super Nintendo. Grew up playing those games, but eventually, graduated to, like most kids do, graduated to sports games. Then after I did sports games, jumped into the Call of Duties and League of Legends and stuff like that. So it was growing up in Mississippi was awesome, but I would say as a kid, I was definitely more like a sports kid. Yeah, I was definitely more of just like your traditional.
I'm with you.
Yeah, traditional.
I'm with you. Dad was my dad was a basketball coach. Still is to this day.
Yeah,
he was coaching high school. I went to the high school he coached at. Coached me for a year, and I still play basketball, and so I feel you.
For sure, yeah.
I'm on that line of, playing sports, soccer.
Right.
I didn't play football, unfortunately, because I was also very small. I was like, my freshman year of high school, I think I was 5'2".
Oh, word.
5'2",
That's crazy.
5'2", 160.
So when did you hit the growth spurt?
I think junior year I hit the growth spurt, and it was crazy because it was just like every other week, my mom's like, Are you getting taller? You got to stop growing. And my last name, Dixon. There's no Dixon in family heir history to ever hit 6 feet.
My God.
I am 5'11 and a half.
That's terrible.
I know.
My brother's like that.
Close.
He's also 5'11 and a half, but they gave him the 6 foot. You know, when you're an athlete, they'll give you the 6 foot.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I always tell people who say they're
athlete.
5'11, I was like, you can't give yourself that extra inch.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I was like, I renewed my driver's license recently. And they were like, what's your height? And I'm like, I can't lie on it. I can't do that to myself. I live with that guilt. So I just said 5'11".
5'11". And
yeah, you got siblings, right?
Yeah. So I'm the oldest brother of 3 sisters. Yeah, I guess I left that out of growing up. But yeah, I'm the oldest brother of 3 sisters. I took pride in that. Love my sisters. Shout out Jasmine, Arabelle, and Sierra. I also have a half brother and sister. We'll probably get into it, but I ended up finding my biological dad at some point. Didn't grow up with a biological dad. Right. So I also have Aiden and Deja. Hope you guys see this. But yeah, that's my half brother and sister on the other side. And it's actually, I guess technically, every single one of my sisters actually have a different dad, so they're all technically my half sisters, but we all grew up together, so those are my sisters. And same with Aiden and Deja, like they're my half brothers and sisters, but those are my brothers and sisters. So yeah, and I'm the oldest of everybody, so I technically have 5 siblings, and I'm the oldest of everybody. So yep.
Interesting. And how did you find your biological dad?
So how did I find my biological dad? Ancestry, actually. It started with Ancestry. Yeah. So I basically didn't know my race growing up. I remember like the quick story, I guess, is I remember being like 10 years old. And, I grew up around all my family's white. Like, everybody that I grew up around, because my mom's white, I'm mixed. I'm black and white.
Yeah.
And so everybody in my family that I grew up going around, grew up doing events and stuff, they were all white. And I remember just at one point, like, being 10 years old and just kind of looking around the room and being like, I look a little different, like, so I just asked my parents, like, what's up? We never talked about it. I never thought anything of it, and I'm pretty light, so I just didn't know the deal. And that conversation, led to, hey, we don't necessarily know what you are. We don't necessarily know who your dad is. My mom never told me anything about it. Even at that point, she was still around. But yeah, she never told me anything about it. So they're just kind of like, we don't really know. We don't know what you are. We don't know who your dad is. Like, that's just kind of, now type of thing. And so at that point, honestly, and I'll tell this to everybody, like, life was pretty good. Like, it wasn't, it wasn't like I needed my dad per se. It was just I had my papa, my grandpa. He was kind of my father figure. I had also Jason. Like, I have Jason DeShong is my name. My dad's name is also Jason DeShong. So I had a dad. You know what I mean? And I also had my brother, Ronnie. He's my uncle, technically my brother, because my grandparents adopted me. But they, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Where was I? I had the father figure, so I wasn't really worried about it. That's kind of what I was saying. I wasn't really worried about it, and so I left it alone for like all of high school. Like, from I think I was 10, 11, 12 years old when that happened, and then I just left it alone until junior, senior year, I want to say. Just left that idea alone that I didn't know who my dad was and stuff like that. But I think, junior, senior year, I started to get a little bit more curious, I think I was just wanting to find myself, right? Like, I just wanted to know who I was and how I fit into this, great, big, wide world that we live in. And yeah, I got the ancestry test done. It was really cool. You spit in a little tube, send it off, 4 to 8 weeks later. It was actually, that was like the beginning of my Twitter era. I do a lot on Twitter. Yeah, that was my first taste of like having people being excited about something that I was doing. Because I was live tweeting about it. Like, I just sent the test in, just got the results back, like 2 weeks and I'm going to have them, like, type of thing. So, but yeah, I got the results back. And even then it was kind of the same thing. I got the results back, 50-50, black and white. But what Ancestry does is they match you with potential siblings. So they have a database of all these people that do their tests, and based on your DNA compared to other people's DNA, they kind of match you with like a likelihood of people, right? So like the way they list it is like you have like a potential first cousin is the way they have it, and it'll say like 50% based on your DNA match. And like I said, like when it happened, I was just like, oh cool, black and white, that's what I wanted to know. I'm good, like I'm gonna keep playing baseball. Like I don't really care. Like I got my papa, I got my dad. I'm good. And it was, again, one of those deals where I left it alone. But I remember, I think I was a freshman or sophomore in college, and I just got curious again. And I decided to kind of look into, the family tree that they had for me. And I basically found my uncle. Who was actually, he's my cousin technically. Found my cousin, thought he looked like me, found he was from like the same places that I was, or had been in the same place, South Mississippi. And I just reached out to him over Facebook actually. Actually, I think I reached out to him over Ancestry. He was just like, hey, told him my story. My mom passed away, looking for my dad. Don't really have any information. And do you know anything? This is the year she graduated. This is where I was, type of thing. And he was basically like, hey, he was trying to like be cordial, but he was like, hey, I do think I have some information based on what you're saying, but this is my family, so let me reach out to some folks and before I start sending you names and numbers and Facebook profiles and stuff like that. But if you know me, you probably know that I want what I want, right? So when he told me that, I was kind of like, cool, and I understand, but no.
So I'm on a hunt right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I went through his Facebook friends list. I found him on Facebook, went through his friends list, and I was just looking for people from South Mississippi. And I found some people from South Mississippi, and I found the guy who I thought was my dad. He's my uncle Artis.
Yeah.
And I reached out to him, told him the whole story. It was just like, I think you're my dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get on the phone with him that day, and Artis is a great guy, super dope dude. Hope you're watching this, Art. One of my big inspirations in life. And he basically, he was like, dude, I'm not your dad. He was like, I'm a little too old to be your dad. Your mom was way too young to be, in any of the circles that I was running in. But he was like, but my younger brother is exactly the same age. Let me reach out to him. Maybe we can figure it out. Long story short, we ended up getting connected.
Nice.
He kind of denied it at first, truthfully.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of denied it at first. But from what I gathered, he didn't know. He straight up
Yeah.
didn't know. They were young. My mom had it 15, 16 years old. So
Yeah.
just didn't really know. Like, my mom never told him about it. So he just didn't know. So he was like,
Yeah.
dude, I don't know anything about this. So surely you're not my son, because I didn't know I had a son, right? But eventually found through a sibling-ship test, actually. So got basically from there, he told me that he wasn't my dad. And yeah, this is interesting. So told me he wasn't my dad. I found, against everybody's best advice, I kept digging on Facebook, found that he had 2 other kids, and I reached out to their mom. And I was just like, hey, told her the story. I was just like, hey, I think, this guy's my dad. He, may or may not be. I have no idea. I don't know where he is. Don't know too much about him, so there's nothing I can really do on that end. Is there any way maybe we could do some sort of sibling-ship test, or would you be willing to have a conversation with me or anything? And I remember everybody in my circle was like, do not reach out to them. You're going to scare them. They don't know you. You know what I mean? My parents, my friends, my grandparents, everybody was just like, dude, don't. You know what I mean? And I, like I said, I want what I want. So I was like, I'm going, So I remember sending the message off that day, and she actually, the mom of my brother and sister, Aiden and Deja, she actually paid for my flight to go back home and paid for the sibling-ship test. And what ended up coming back was, and we could probably pop this up on there too, is we had the sibling-ship test done, and the way they do it is it comes back as 1 in blank, right?
Oh,
So for me and you, it'd come back and say 1 in a million, right? Because we're probably not closely related at all, right? But for us, it came back as it was 2,000 to 1 for me and my brother, odds that we were siblings. And then for my sister, it was something for one or the other. It was something crazy. It was in the hundreds for one, but the others was 10,000 or something like that to 1. So you're just okay, definitive. And I think I sent it off to the family. It was just all right, confirmed, and that was it. And from there, I don't really have a relationship with my dad, but I got a relationship with my grandparents on that side. I got a relationship with my uncle, with all my brothers and sisters, all the families. So I think that'll come one day. It comes with time.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where I sit with the family. So that's kind of how I found them and where we're at now. Yeah. So
Very,
I go.
very interesting.
Yeah, I go home. I just went home and visited them. I call them every Monday. Yeah. So we're all tight. Artist sends me Instagram DMs all the time for a little. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's real. So yeah, I'm really tight with that side of the family now.
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yep.
Do you know exactly the number exactly of brothers and sisters on that side and the ones you have right now?
So just Aiden and Deja on that side. For me.
Okay.
Yeah, just Aiden and Deja on that
Gotcha.
side. Yeah, I've got other cousins and stuff, and I think I'm technically an uncle on that side too. But
nice.
but yeah, no, I think no, it's just the 5. Yeah, I've got the 3 brothers and sisters, or 3 sisters on my mom's side, and then 2 siblings, brother and sister on my dad's side. Yep.
Okay, and then from high school, this was in high school. Where are you going after high school? What's the next step?
So high school, like I said, I was playing baseball.
Yeah.
Up until I want to say senior year, probably halfway through senior year, my plan was to go play ball. I was going on scholarship, going on academic scholarship, just going to play ball. That was my plan.
Where were you?
Millsaps.
Millsaps.
Yeah,
right?
Millsaps.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Was still planning to go there, but I think what ended up hitting me was it was one of those things where okay, I love baseball. I enjoy the sport, enjoy playing the sport, enjoy improving at the sport. But this is kind of the same thing I have for even with my brother when he was going through high school. Typically, especially in the South, right? If you're the guy by sophomore, junior year. Sometimes you have a late bloomer that finds out late junior year, senior year.
Right.
But if you're going to go play in the league at whatever sport you're playing, you probably know by sophomore, junior year that you're the guy, or at least you can be the guy, right? Because that's all my friends who ended up playing sports. That's when they found out. That's when they were getting recruited, right? So I just remember thinking, if I was the guy and I'm going to go be professional, I probably know by now. You know what I mean? And so for me, I was looking at, like I said, Millsap, super expensive private school out in Jackson, Mississippi. It was one of those things where I could go play baseball for $50,000 a year to potentially extend my career by 4 years and literally pay for it and maybe get drafted or go to a better school or whatever. Or I can be realistic and hang it up because that's probably what I'm going to be doing in the next 4 years anyway, and save $200,000 on my education. Right. So that's kind of what I decided to do. And really that was from that end. But honestly, I was dating a girl at the time who was going to Mississippi State. That feeling of baseball mixed with like, oh, I can go with her and be with her and maybe we can do our thing. That's kind of what pushed me to go to Mississippi State. So that's what I ended up doing. And another big piece of that was my friends, actually, because I decided, I want to say it was junior year, that gaming was my thing. I think, like a lot of us growing up playing sports, we were kind of like closeted gamers, you know what I mean? But I think by that time I was like, all right, gaming's my thing. I want to keep doing this. And so I want to say with COD Ghosts, I started like a little clan, and that just made me realize like the potential for esports, and it made me want to keep like digging into what esports could be for me. And so, like I said, I dug into the gaming thing really hard, like junior, senior year. Met some of my best friends, Jacques and Drake, and Jacques was actually going to Mississippi State too. Drake was actually going to Millsaps to play football. Jacques was supposed to go with him to play football and pulled out the last second, similar to how I did to go play baseball. And so Jacques and I went to Mississippi State basically to start the Overwatch team. We were playing a lot of video games. We'd been playing for the last couple of years, and we just went up there and we ended up attending Mississippi State, and like I said, starting the team. And that's kind of what pushed me into that, mixed with the Call of Duties and some of my past gaming experiences, kind of what pushed me into like this age of collegiate esports, or really esports in general for me. So
what was that clan? You said you created a clan.
The clan, it was Vivid. Yeah, it was Vivid. Yeah. I was actually, that's where the name Kaching was born. So before, because that's my tag now.
Yeah, this is like nostalgic right here. I want to know about this.
So
I was going to ask about this
for sure. Yeah. So
history behind
before, and Ethan will remember this. Ethan's my friend that I met playing Call of Duty. We're still best friends to this day. We met organically, just like how you used to, right? Playing Black Ops 2, just like in a lobby. Hey man, you want to party up? And just developed a friendship from there, right? But when we met, he was Mickey Mouse 02. He's now Goonerbuck because he ended up going to the Ohio State University. But he was Gooner. He's Goonerbuck now, and back then I was Equal Matrix. So I just joined a clan, I think is what it was. I thought sniping was really cool, so I joined like a little sniping clan because all my friends were really good at it. I was like okay at it. Sniping. It's cool. I was never great at it. And actually, my first montage I ever made, I'll never forget this. My first montage I ever made for COD was on Black Ops 1. And you know how like you could do like the hypercam, and it was hard to do back then, but you could get like in-game footage, right? You didn't have to record on your phone. I was a little too broke for that, so I couldn't get any of the hypercam or any of that. I didn't even know how to do it, basically. So I remember I had Holy Grail had just come out, the song by Jay-Z. Holy Grail had just come out.
Throw that track on.
Yeah, and so I threw it on. I had a montage already done, like in the COD, recorder or whatever. And I'll never forget, dude, I set up like 12 textbooks to be in perfect frame for my TV. You didn't see any of the bezels on the TV, just gameplay.
That's impressive.
And I edited it on a free little app, and that was my first ever like Black Ops montage.
Oh, man. I want to see it,
dude. I'll have to find it because I have my old iPhone 4, and I think it's on there. Like I think it's on there. So I'll have to find it. Hopefully it is, because that's the only phone I had that would have been capable of recording that. So should be on there. I just got to get a 30-pin charger for it.
Seriously.
But yeah, so Equal Matrix was kind of who I was and how I was back then. But honestly, I was just when I was younger, because I'm not really this way now. I was really about the cash, dog. I was really about money. I liked money. My nickname in baseball was Bands, because I wore a lot of like armbands. I wore a ton of armbands. That was like my thing. I had done it in Little League too. That was my thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Kaching was kind of born out of my need to change from Equal Matrix, because I was with Equal, right? So I was Equal underscore, and actually to add to the cringe, it was XX Equal underscore Matrix XX. It was bad, dude. Like I make fun of people, especially now, like when I play Valorant, I make fun of, like, dude, you got a number in your name.
Dude,
and
I'm like, two letters and
exactly right. You got an underscore there. Like what's up, man? But now I'm just like, please.
But it is kind of crazy, like that still exists.
Oh yeah.
Like 100%. I had like one of those like Xbox Live, like one of those, like, cause I found like a glitch in like a different game. Well, that's a different story, but
sure.
And I would do like XX like zebra something crazy.
yeah, exactly.
And it was just like cringe, like I did it on purpose. Right. But then like seeing it today still, and just like
kids still
Overwatch
do it.
lobbies and Rocket League. And
well, you got to remember, I mean, kids are still going to be kids, right? So they're still doing that.
Exactly.
There's just 13-year-olds just like us that are like, wait, that's cool, And then at some point they're like, wait, that's kind of lame.
That's cheesy.
So for me, it was out of necessity of needing to change from the cringe name. Also, I just didn't, because for me it was I could have dropped Equal and just been Matrix, but that just wasn't me. I just like, what does Matrix even mean to me?
Reeves.
Yeah, right. I'm just like, I'm not in the. I don't even know what that means. Like whatever. So like I said, between bands and kind of my love for money at the time, Kaching was born, and so I was Vivid Kaching, and that's to bring it back to Vivid. Yeah,
that's clean. I like that.
Vivid Kaching, and I think actually Ethan changed his name around that time too. I think he was Mickey Mouse too, but it was kind of like Vivid Mickey Mouse. That's weird. So I think I want to say he ended up changing his name around that time too. So
wow.
Yep. And we started with Peter and John and everybody. Yeah, it was a cool thing. I want to say it started as like a league that we were playing a lot of League. So I want to say it was League and COD, but I want to say we were like Ethan and I were kind of transitioning from COD into League because we wanted to play more PC stuff. So
I was gonna say your first PC. What were the consoles you guys were playing on? Like,
so before I got on PC, I was SNES and NES growing up. So like my mom put us on like Mario Bros 3. Like that's my favorite. Super Mario Bros 3 is like one of my favorite games. Dr. Mario, had like very vivid memories of just like kind of huddling around the console and just passing controllers from aunts to uncles to cousins to brothers and sisters. It was just really cool. So that's how I grew up. Again, like kind of too poor to get like the Actually, my dad was in the military when the PS1 got released, and we were in Germany. So Europe, I believe, if I have this right, fact check me, I believe Europe got it before North America, the PlayStation 1. And so I actually got the PlayStation 1. My dad got it before all my friends in America did. So that was pretty cool. Because I was going to say that we were too poor, because it's the truth. We were like too poor growing up to get, like the GameCube or the N64, or like the new PlayStation, the new Xbox. Gotcha. So I did have like the OG Xbox, and I did have a PlayStation 1. But that's kind of what I grew up playing. I grew up playing a lot of Nintendo games. My mom got us a Wii at some point, so that was really cool. But yeah, that I would say I was Nintendo, into Wii, did a lot of DS too. I played Pokemon a lot growing up.
Love Pokemon.
Yeah, love Pokemon. And then I want to say I graduated to like the bigger and better consoles after my original Xbox and after that PlayStation 1 into a PS3. And then my PS3 kind of era took me into sports games and stuff like that. So yeah,
gotcha.
PS3, and then I don't think. Oh yeah, and I know I didn't do Xbox because my mom wouldn't pay for it. Like even when I proposed that to her at some point, I was just like, yo, like. And actually, I don't even think I proposed it to her. I think as a kid, I was just like, okay, if I go to my mom and ask her if she'll pay for this service that costs money on Xbox and is free on PlayStation, what is she going to say? No, I'm not asking. Like that it was like, all right, cool. Yeah, I'm going to play on PlayStation. So me being a PlayStation guy was kind of out of necessity almost, just and maybe out of fear of not wanting to ask my mom for Xbox Live subscription. But yeah. And then from there, I kind of graduated into PC. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
I have here a piece of history that affected you,
and
that was 2012.
Yep.
The X Games.
Oh yeah, dude.
You mentioned that this was very emotional for you, so I want this full story.
Yeah, man. So God, that was like in between the transition from me going from like COD into this really just this like wider world of esports, because and we kind of talked about it a little bit. I didn't start playing COD until Black Ops, where a lot of people, started MW2 or MW3. I didn't play those games. I watched my friends play MW3, and I remember sitting in my friend's living room and watching him play all the time because it was cool. But I never got into it. And the funny story behind that is my dad's 22 years Army, I think 24 year. Shout out Jason. Shout out you, Dad. But he was in the military, and for whatever reason, just in my kid brain, and it still makes sense to me now. It's just funny. In my kid brain, I just thought, if I played this military shooter while my dad was literally out there like laying his life on the line, right? Because at this time, he's like touring Iraq. He's going back and forth between like Qatar. So I was just like, surely if I play this game that simulates what my dad's doing, I'm disrespecting him. That's how I felt. Like I was, and nobody had ever said that
valid.
to me. Yeah. And like I said, it makes sense, but back then it's
out of respect.
Right. Yeah. No, that was it. I was just like, I respect my dad. We never had a conversation about it. I was just like, I'm respecting my dad, and I wasn't really staunch about it. I wasn't going over to my friends and be like, don't do that. It was just more one of those things where like, I'm good. I don't want to disrespect my dad. And I remember, I was just, 12, 13 years old. I was just maybe 11, 12. I was just, I called him. I was over it. I was over sitting watching my friends. Everybody was playing. I couldn't do anything, and nobody was playing Madden anymore. And so I just called my dad and was like, Dad, can I please get Call of Duty? Like, please, can I get Call of Duty? And I explained to him why I hadn't gotten it, and he laughed at me. And he was just like, son, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He was like, I appreciate it, but you can play Call of Duty. So from there, I ended up getting into Call of Duty, and like I said, Black Ops 1 was my first one. And really, I played Black Ops 1. Like I said, met Ethan in Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 is really like what woke me up to kind of the competition side of esports. That like, hey, maybe this can be a replacer for baseball, a replacer for traditional sports. For me, like in my life and also in like my media consumption. And Black Ops 2, like I said, like that was really big for me. And so when Ghost came out, it also had like, the clan wars and stuff. I just really like Ghosts. I know a lot of people that played COD didn't love Ghosts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like Ghosts. And I remember, they did the X Games in 2012. It was Optic and Team Caliber in the championship match on Sovereign. I'll never forget. And I want to say, I don't remember the player, but the final kill was with a Bulldog on the site. In the control room, on the site in the control room on Sovereign. But dude, I remember I had, back then I didn't have, PCs weren't as popular, right?
Yeah.
So I had my console, my little old bulky PS3, the big ones. I had that bulky PS3 to play COD on, and then I had my really cheap laptop that my parents got me for school because, I think I was starting high school at the time. Really cheap laptop off to the side. So I got my 32-inch TV, and I had to move everything out of my room because, again, I'm young, so I don't have a desk or anything like that. So I remember I had to move everything out of my room, PlayStation, 32-inch TV, laptop, all of it. I had to move all of it to my parents' dining room. They hated when I did that. They hated it, dude. And sorry, Nana and Papa, but I think it was worth it.
Look where he is now.
Yeah, right. But no, they hated that. And I remember sitting out there one day, and I was just in it, man.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that was one of the first big moments where traditional sports and esports kind of meshed.
Yeah.
And I still, to this day, Nate Shot's my guy, dog. Like, I feel like him and Hex are like, that's what our age of people, especially in esports, I think should aspire to be. I think Nate Shot's story is great. I think Hex's story is great. What they built is great. Even people like Scump and back then like Proofy, all those guys, right?
Scump now, not.
I know, right?
I know. Poor
I know, yeah.
Poor Scump. But
right, yeah.
Proud of you, Scump.
Right, yeah. We love you,
worked
Scump.
hard, yeah.
I think I got a picture with Scump at DreamHack, at the last
cool.
DreamHack I went to. But yeah, basically it was just a really big moment for me. I remember being really excited, really glued to it, and man, I'll never forget. Yeah, when they got that final kill with the Bulldog, I was just overwhelmed with emotion, dude. Like I can't even describe it. Like I was just overwhelmed. That's the only way I can describe it. And I just cried like a baby, dog. Like they got that kill, and Optic walked across the stage getting their gold medals at the X Games. You know what I mean? And it was just, I don't know, man. I just couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? I just couldn't believe it, and I cried, and I'll never forget it. I remember saying out loud, I have to have a piece of this. I have to.
Yeah.
And that was it for me. Like I was like, I started the clan, like I said, with Ghosts. I kept going in college. That was it for me. So I remember seeing that, looking at an age shot and be like, I've got to be there. You know what I mean? So that was a moment for me in esports where I was just like, man, this is something for me. You know? So yeah, that was a pretty big moment for me.
Right. Okay. So, oh man. You started the Overwatch team with Jacques and Jacob.
Yep.
And that's another great story.
Yeah. So we, how did we start the Overwatch team, dude? We just started it, I want to say. So, when we came to Mississippi State, they were like a lot of other clubs were, like collegiate esports clubs were at the time. They were basically just like a League of Legends friend group, like a really big, really robust, like 30, 50 people that always got together on Fridays to play League, you know what I mean? Or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something like that. And we Jacques and I came in really, you know me now, and especially, at minus 4 years back then. So take away a lot of the censoring and the thought process, right? Back then I was really brash is the way I would describe myself. And we came in hot. I came in hot. Like I want to do a team. I want to have jerseys. I want to look good. I want to feel good. I want to play good. Like I want to do it. Let's do it. I found a league. Let's do it. And so we did it, and we built a team. Wasn't a great team. Shout out Stanley for helping us build that team. Our jerseys were awful. We were awful. Like we were trying our best.
That's the effort, though.
Yeah. And after we started the team, they ended up handing the club to us. So I came in. I came in as a freshman in 2017, fall of 2017, and February 2018, they handed it over to me and Jacques.
Yeah.
And actually, the story goes, so Luke, shout out Luke. Luke handed it to me and was like, hey, I want you to be the president, freshman from nowhere.
Yeah. 3 months. What do you say?
Yeah, right. And to all these seniors who've been waiting in line, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there was a senior waiting in line, thought he was going to become the president. Obviously, Luke thought I'd be a better fit. And I remember telling him, like, hey, I'm cool with being the president, but if I'm going to be the president,
you're going to run it your way.
Jacques is going to be the VP.
Yeah.
No questions asked. Because like I said, they put that senior in that VP spot. So if you guys want me, you want Jacques too. That's it. And I remember it was a pretty hard.
That's like movie moment right
dog.
there.
It was like I'll never forget it.
You get Jacques.
Yeah, and it's like the scene was, it was me, the guy that was supposed to be my VP, Luke, the former president or current or whatever way you want to say, and then Jacques was sitting right here. I'm just like, this is what it is. And like everybody was just kind of like,
I wonder who do you remember the guy's name who was sitting next to you?
David. Yeah. Shout out David.
How did he feel?
He just didn't feel good about it. I love David. Yeah. We ended up being cool after, but he wasn't happy, and rightfully so, obviously. Just these kids coming from nowhere, jumping in and taking over their stuff, basically. But yeah, I was just like, if you want us here, we can do a good job, but you got to let us do a good job. You know? And that was it. So from there, we just, man, we grinded. I think what ended up happening that kind of took us to the next level was Flaunson. A lot of people in collegiate probably know Flaunson, the multi-game wonder. He ended up reaching out to us over Facebook. That's kind of how weird things were back in the day. He reached out over Facebook and was just like, hey, I'm interested in esports. I really like playing. He's just like me, actually. He grew up playing baseball. Really competitive guy, really good at the game. Because Jock and I were like above average. Jock, both of us, we were both barely above average, competitive. Like we were at the edge of competition. I want to say, because like Matt was like, and still is, professional level and probably better than most guys who get paid a salary to do it right now. And he just reached out to us, just like, hey, I'm top 500. Really want to compete. Whatever I can do, I'd love to meet you guys. And I remember I want to say we ended up meeting Matt at Cookout. We met him at like 11 o'clock.
Nice. I hear about Cookout. And,
it's awesome.
Man, my buddy lives in South Carolina. He's like, you got to, shout out David. He's like, you got to come out here and try Cookout. And
dude,
I'm like,
Cookout's so good. Cookout's my problem. So the problem now that like Cookout like poisoned my mind in a great way. They used to have $5 boxes in Starkville. I'm sure they still do them. But they had $5 boxes where you could get 2 entrees and a side. So what we would always do is we would get a barbecue sandwich, a quesadilla, and either fries or chicken strips, depending on like what you wanted. And normally you eat like one entree and the fries, and you save the other entree for later. And so I have this thing now where if a meal costs more than $5, it's not worth it. It's like a problem. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like when I cook at home, if a meal's not under $5, it's not cost effective. I can just go get fast food. It's like that's how I think about things a lot of times. So Cookout's great, but like I said, it kind of poisoned my mind and like. I don't even know how they did it. Maybe I was just young enough to handle it. It's probably why I have stomach problems now, but my body can handle it too. Like a lot of the fast foods is like great food,
Taco
Bell.
Where
I cannot eat Taco Bell. I haven't eaten it in years, bro. We don't have to talk about it, right, dude? It's bad, man. So but Cookout was good food too. So I love Cookout.
So you met the guys at Cookout. You met them at Cookout.
Yeah, we met Matt at Cookout, and really it just kind of evolved from there, man. I mean, it's kind of the same thing that I did here. I just put my foot down and was like, all right, we're going. So every opportunity that I saw, everything that we could do, we did, and I think the way that it actually blew up, and this is a funny story that I kept out of kind of our pre-talk, was it was actually we kind of blew up because of Twitter. A lot of the you probably hear me a lot talk about how a lot of my successes come from Twitter. Really, a lot of me comes from Twitter. I feel like I grew up on Twitter. I feel like Twitter kind of raised me in a way, and I remember the athletics department. So like I said, we were kind of doing our thing. We were starting teams, opening it up to everybody, making it an open and welcome community, contrary to what it was before, just being kind of like maybe a PC community, maybe just a League of Legends community. We were just trying to open it up to all gamers, and it was working. But the thing that kind of took us to the next level was when I was the president, like I said, I was a little brash and hot-headed. I remember I got wind. There was a weird, shout out George, I love you, George. There was a weird disconnect between the old leadership, like Luke's group, and my new group. And George was working under the athletic department. George was like former president for MSU.
Gotcha.
And George was basically, I love you, George, kind of working behind our back. With esports, and he was doing it in the best interest of esports. He was just trying to put esports on the map, just maybe without our name. You know what I mean? Like and I don't blame him, because I was doing the same thing. We're trying to get credit for what we're doing, right? So he's trying to be the reason why esports worked at MSU, and I'm doing the same thing, right? Yeah. But what ended up happening was George was working with the athletics department, and he reported directly to like the marketing director and the athletic director, and they were putting on an esports night, kind of next to a basketball night that they were doing. Obviously, sports are huge in the SEC. So Fortnite had just popped off. It was like the new big thing at its real height, right? Still really big now. Yeah, it's great. But it was it just popped off, and they were doing like a Fortnite tournament, and they were giving away like a cool little all maroon Xbox controllers. Really cool. But they had tweeted about it. The athletics, the MSU verified athletics department tweeted about it, and they were just kind of like just, come join us for our esports night at the Sanderson, and I remember, I'll never forget it. I remember throwing out in the quote tweet, I was like, it would be really great if you guys could include esports in the esports night from the esports page. Dude, it took like 2 minutes before I got a phone call. Oh. Like, man, it was, I got a phone call from George, and George, I'll never forget this conversation. It was funny. George was like, hey, man, can you take that down, dog? Like that's making everybody look bad. I'm getting a lot of heat for it right now. Like, can you just take it down? He was being nice about it. And I was just, again, brash, hot-headed. I was like, George, I don't know you. You don't know me. Like, we knew of each other, but we didn't know each other really well. Yeah. And I was like, dude, I don't know you. You don't know me. You're a kid just like I am. I'm not deleting until an adult calls me. That's
Ooh,
it.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, fair.
Yeah, and I
honestly.
remember, and I'm sorry,
You're both
George.
just trying to make your way.
Exactly, yeah, and I ended up apologizing for it. We're good now. But yeah, I remember George went off about the kid thing, and I remember just being like, well, dude, I'm a kid. Like, you might not feel like you're a kid, but like, I'm a kid. Like, I'm 18 years old, dog. So, yeah, that was it. But he was like, all right, later. Like, obviously you're not going to delete it if I'm talking to you. So 2 minutes later, I get a call from I want to say Dan, who was the assistant marketing director for the athletics department at MSU. And he was just like, hey man, what's the deal? Why'd you do that? Can you please take it down? And I was just like, no. I hear you and I understand that, but you guys are doing stuff without us and I don't like that, and that's it. So no, until you guys include us, no. And hung up on that phone call. I think he called me back again and was just like, please. And I was like, no. And then Leah Beasley, who I'm still connected with, and she was one of our biggest supporters and advocators in all of esports while we were there. But she gave me a call and was like, all right, I'm the girl. Take it down. We're going to include you guys. Take it down. We'll have a conversation after this. So we ended up getting them straight. We ended up getting everything cleared up. But yeah, that was like the big moment for MSU Esports, where we went from just being this small little gaming group or small little club to, oh, who are these guys? Like, oh, they're at the basketball game now. Oh, they're working with athletics now. Like, oh, they have a big membership, and now this president. Like what's going on? So that's kind of where we went from there. And then that actually opened up the door with athletics to have conversations with them about what we were trying to do, right? And I remember I threw out to George, because this is kind of like my claim to fame, one of them with Mississippi State. Was the Esports Egg Bowl, and if you don't know, the Egg Bowl is a rivalry game between Mississippi State and Ole Miss. It's been going on for about 100 years, like a little over 100 years. So I had the creative idea of just doing that, because the truth is about SEC, and I'm sure you know this, when it comes to SEC competition, we will cheer over kickball. Like we will fight over any type of kickball, tennis, whatever, dude. Like we will make water polo the most competitive sport. And I'm sure water poloers, but we will make whatever the most competitive thing out there. You know what I mean? So I remember just having that and being like, dude, we get Ole Miss and especially the rivalries within the SEC. We compete in anything, and people will watch and want to do it. You know what I mean? Or want to pay attention to it. So I remember I had that idea and I threw it out to Ole Miss, and they were just like, we're with it. We're open to doing something like that. And so we started pitching it to our athletics department. George actually walked me into those doors. I remember I met with Miss Gillespie, GSP, over at GSP Strickland, actually, over at the athletic department. Pitched the idea to her, and she loved it. She loved it. Leah Beasley loved it. Dr. Regina Hyatt, who was over at Mississippi State, also loved it. And they basically they took the torch for us. They told everybody, in the school, hey, we're doing this. We want to do this. Let's take it seriously. It's a licensed event with Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Wow. It's like part of their real branding. They can't change the logo anymore because it's real. So it's really cool. But yeah, it ended up being born kind of as a result of that tweet. Yeah. And just through the conversations, the Esports Egg Bowl was born, and that's those things together is really what ended up taking kind of MSU Esports to the next level, along with obviously a lot of the other things we did. But
phenomenal. That's awesome. So the Egg Bowl. Phenomenal.
Yeah, kind of the way it was born.
What a great thing to have on the resume.
Definitely.
And everything like that. I want to talk about Envy. We talked about this figured out story that you did with Envy in Dallas, and is that the same thing? Or
what do you mean?
The Dallas. You went to Dallas.
Yeah, right? I went to Dallas a lot. Yeah, Dallas is just kind of like where my esports career was really born. Yeah, so that's what I would say. Yeah.
So, oh man, this is a great. I mean, I know I've heard all these stories, but your friend, you guys were headed to Dallas. I can't remember exactly the context behind it.
Sure, yeah. So you're probably talking about Jacob and going out there initially. Yeah. So the first ever esports opportunity I got, it's a super funny story, and again, kind of starts with Twitter. Yeah. We ended up so our team used to hang out. We used to hang out kind of in Jacob's bathroom a lot when we were in college. Yeah. I just remember one time we were hanging out in his bathroom. We were both sitting on his bathtub, and I was scrolling through Twitter. On the edge of his bathtub, I was scrolling through Twitter, and I saw a tweet from Justin Rojas, who's still the current events manager over at Team Envy. Actually, it's Optic now, but was the team or event manager over for Team Envy. And he had just sent out a tweet saying hey, looking for brand ambassadors for the first ever Overwatch League home game event. The Team Envy / Dallas Fuel were hosting it. They were actually looking for local ambassadors. I didn't know and I didn't care. But yeah, they were looking for local ambassadors. ambassadors. We just DM'd him. I remember I reached out and was just like, hey, me and my VP, because Jacob had become my VP at that time. Jacques had, I think Jacques actually was still a VP. I just think he was a different VP because I'd actually split it up and made it internal and external. So I think Jacques was one and Jacob was the other.
I see. Yeah.
And so I think yeah, Jacob was external. So that was I think that was my justification for why Jacob was good to go or better to go maybe. And maybe Jacques wasn't even involved at that time, but either way, we extended the opportunity or sent the DM out, and Justin ended up. I don't think we heard back from him for a while.
Yeah.
Esports is esports, and guys busy. And we found managing a lot for an event like this, right? And so I remember, we didn't hear too much back, and I want to say, dude, it was like a week before, maybe 2 weeks before. 2 weeks is like pushing it.
Yeah.
Probably within 7 days, we heard back, and it was just like, hey, come out here. Here's your rate. We'll pay you the whole time you're here. We'll pay you for every second that you work. But you got to figure out how to get here, and you got to figure out how to put yourself up. Good luck. We'll see if you want to come.
Oh man.
Yeah. And so
that's just stress on the shoulders,
dude,
right there.
It was, and we were broke.
It's what you want to do,
right? Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's like, here's the opportunity, but here's this late of a notice. Come figure it out. That's crazy.
That's it. Yeah. And I understood it, because like I said, even to this day, that's not something I would ever be salty about, because that's real life. You know what I mean? And like I said, like he was even giving us a bone by saying that, because the truth was his scope was really only supposed to be those Dallas locals. So thank you, Justin. Shout out to you, Justin, for doing that for us, because I mean that was a crazy extension to even make for us. So I remember at the time I was failing miserably in college. Like I was doing esports, dog. Like I did that the whole time I was at Mississippi State. I didn't go to class. I did esports. Like that's what I did while I was there. And after my first semester, I'd gotten I got a warning. And then this second semester that I was in, because this spring, this is around April of 2018, I believe, either 2018 or 2019. And if I had failed this semester, they were going to put me on real academic probation. So I was going to lose some of my school grants. I was going to lose maybe access to my Pell Grant. I was on GI Bill, so I wasn't going to lose that. But I was at risk of losing some of my financials for school.
Yeah.
So I was taking that semester as seriously as I could. I was trying to, but honestly, I was doing esports. And so, finals, it was final season when that time was around. And Jacob took class seriously, graduated Sigma Cum Laude at Mississippi State, so that wasn't an option for him. But I was still trying to do my best, still trying to pass my exams and stuff. And I remember not only could we not afford the plane ticket to fly out of the airport that was closest to us, but we also just couldn't afford to lose the time. Because we needed the time to study, because as soon as we got back, we were gonna have to take these exams. So I remember we couldn't really afford the flight financially, and we also really couldn't afford the time to take the flight, both for the flight and to drive to the airport. And so what we ended up doing was we ended up booking a bus ticket, or it was either a bus or a train. I think it was a bus ticket. Yeah, it was a Greyhound bus ticket. It's like $80 round trip. Super, super cost effective. And actually, I was looking forward to it. I thought it would have been a cool little experience.
Drive through all the states.
Yeah, right. Yeah, cool. Just be on the bus with your bro, going to do esports. Like, what else could you be doing? We're in college. That's what you're here for. You're here for those types of experiences. Risk. So I was open for it, Obviously it sucked. But it was, we were going to make the best of it. And so that was the plan. We were going to take this Greyhound bus all the way to Dallas, Texas from rural Mississippi, basically one day we were kind of strutting our stuff a little bit in the Discord, young 18, 19-year-olds getting their first opportunity, working for the Dallas Fuel, working for Team Envy, these historied things. Also, Overwatch is just popping off, Overwatch League, first ever home game. So like I said, we're kind of showing off a little bit in the general chat, just talking about what we're getting ready to go do. And, everybody's talking about, are you excited? Are you ready to go? Blah, 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 blah. And we're telling people like, yeah, we're excited, but we're taking a bus, So like, we're as excited as we can be, And so I remember one of our COD players, Cameron, shout out Cam, he ended up he responded to us in the general chat, and he was just like, are you guys looking forward to the bus ride? And we're just like no, like what do you mean? Like shut up, leave us alone, And he's just like, oh, like you're not, like that's weird. DM me. And we're just like, what? What?
Like so
what?
random,
Like,
out of pocket.
Like, weird. Like, and we knew Cam. Like we'd talked with Cam. Obviously, I worked with Cam. He's our COD captain. Right. He's one of our COD members. So we were close, just like we all are here, But we had never had like super close interactions. So it was just kind of like, what's going on,
Just kind of like work together, know each other.
Yeah,
in the same space.
For sure, yeah. So like I said, we had talked and stuff, but yeah, we definitely hadn't had any like DM conversations or anything like that. And what ended up happening was he DM'd us and he was just like, hey, you guys looking forward to the bus trip? Like, what's your plans? What are you guys going to do? Blah, blah, blah. Told him we were going to do. Told him we were riding the bus, that we weren't really looking forward to it. Couldn't afford a flight. Because we could we could have afforded what would have made sense is if we flew out of the closest airport. There was a really close airport, but they were so expensive that we just couldn't make it make sense.
It's like a smaller one too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
the flights, there's like barely any planes coming in.
Yeah, so they had like 2 flights a day type of thing, So where we couldn't afford the time to drive to that further airport and then the ticket to buy that one, we also couldn't afford the closer one just because of the literal financials for that one. But Cameron basically told us, so we're talking about the bus and talking about how we're not looking forward to the way that we're traveling, and he goes, well, I thought you were going to say that, and I thought that you guys were kind of in a pickle for your travel stuff. My dad's a pilot, and I got you guys 2 plane tickets. They're standby, but basically, if you sit in the airport all day, you're guaranteed to get on a plane, and you'll make it to Dallas one way or another.
Wow.
We were just like,
Bet.
Exactly. We're just like, okay, thank you. And I think the only thing that he asked for in exchange was just some merch. Like he just wanted a T-shirt, and I got him one. We got him the little, I told you about it, the little Fuel House Jackbox T-shirts. So those were really cool. But yeah, we got one of those for him, and that was kind of the first ever event we went to and how we got there.
Yeah.
And then, man, the event itself was crazy. Like that was a crazy. It was a crazy time. I mean, if I start from the beginning, we get there, and like I said, we're the only people there that aren't from Dallas, Texas. Everybody else there is, with UTD, former UTD kids, maybe UT Arlington kids, just kids from around the area who are also like us, trying to get their foot in the door, trying to work with companies like Envy and the Dallas Fuel. But actually, let me back up. Let me talk about how I got the job.
Oh, yeah.
I completely forgot about this. So Justin did give us this job, but actually Lindsay, love you, Lindsay, was hiring. She's actually, I want to say, social media director now at Team Envy. She might be even higher than that.
Wow.
Now. But back then she was a social media manager. It might have even just been an intern. But actually, we had gone to Dallas before this event. We had played as an Overwatch team at OP Live Dallas. It was 2018. And one of the big reasons why we went was because Dallas Fuel was going to be there. So like Arrow was there. I have a signed jersey from like OGE and Mickey, I want to say. So it was a really cool thing. But we competed, and UTD was there. And at the time, Lindsay was the manager for UTD.
Oh, okay.
And like I was kind of talking about, looking good, feeling good, playing good with Mississippi State at the very beginning, I've always taken like the Yankee standard pretty seriously because that's kind of the way that I grew up in traditional sports. So looking the part, dressing the part, acting the part, playing the part, right? Like all the different things. You look good, you feel good, you play good, but you also got to look right. You know what I mean? Like I was after the Yankees look.
Fit the role.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember when we went out, we got full team swag, and that was a big deal to me because that was our first time ever doing something. So I remember thinking like, hey, if people are going to see us for the first time, I want them to see us in the right way. So we got nice jerseys. I got everybody Tyro, matching Adidas pants. We were in Adidas school. I got Adidas pants. I got Adidas shoes. I got Adidas backpacks. I had everything.
That's awesome.
We were all head to toe matching.
Decked
out, dude. And it turned heads everywhere we went. Everyone was just like, who are those guys? You know what I mean?
Cool.
It was awesome. We got interviewed by local news stations. Yeah, it was great, dude. Good.
Yeah, because you were probably like, oh, I made that happen.
No, exactly. Yeah, and then on purpose, So it was purposeful. And so I remember we actually ended up losing to UTD, and it was funny because we were so new to competitive Overwatch that we were nearing the end of Dive meta and the beginning of Goats meta.
Oh.
Yeah, and we were so bad that we were still playing Goats or still playing Dive into people's as Goats and didn't even know why that was wrong. You know what I mean? Like we were just like, why isn't this working? You know what I mean? Like why isn't the thing that we normally do in scrims just not working? And it was one because those guys were really good until they knew what they were doing. But we actually took it all the way to 99 every single round with UTD. They ended up beating us 3-2. But we hung with them, and we ended up losing to them and UNT actually went on to win it. But Lindsay saw us, and we talked to Lindsay a little bit, but she saw us and noticed Jacob and I's face. Jacob and I were playing on the team at the time, and we found out when we got there that Lindsay actually picked us because she remembered our faces.
Oh.
So our faces were on our resumes that we submitted, and she said out of the people that she picked us too, obviously because of our skills and stuff, because she remembered our faces and the way that we kind of carried ourselves at that event. So shout out Lindsay for that. But yeah, that was actually kind of how we got picked before we got there. So bringing us all the way to getting there.
Just what showing up does.
Exactly. Yeah, showing up the right way. That's a big deal to me, and will be a big deal to us at GCU. So yeah, that was a pretty big deal. But like I said, we get there. We're really the only guys that aren't local, and really we're there to work. Jacob and I are only there to work. That's the only reason why we're there. So we're 7 a.m. ready to go. You know what I mean? And yeah, I actually remember the first day we got there, we didn't really know where to go, didn't really know what to do, hadn't really gotten much of a communication, but we knew we wanted to be early. So we showed up 2 hours early to our first shift. And we didn't have anything else to do. That was the other thing. Like what else were we gonna do? So we were like, all right, might as well go work. Might as well go do the thing we came here to do, right? And so we did, and what ended up happening was we built chairs with Jackbox for like 2 hours before they're like, wait, who are you guys? Like, why are you even helping us? And we were just like, I don't know. We thought we were here doing the right thing. And then eventually our boss came and found us, just like, why are you helping those guys? Like, what are you doing? So we ended up going with him and getting set up. But dude, it was from. I remember when we joined, it was a brand ambassador job, like I said, and we thought that I thought, maybe Jacob thought differently, but I thought that we would be smiling and waving, handing out flyers, handing out T-shirts. Thanks for coming. Love you. Please subscribe, follow, whatever. Right. And I remember, the first little powwow they had with all these, 20 brand ambassadors, however many there, I think maybe 15, 20. First meeting they had, they were just like, all right, all of you are going to be pretty faces, customer service, under the tents, all these things. Event set up and tear down. Cool. 2 of you are going to be production assistants. You 2. Your production assistants, me and Jacob. No broadcast experience, no live events experience, no production experience, no anything.
Wow.
Just 2 kids from Mississippi that for whatever reason they decided to throw into the production realm.
And they don't know you're from Mississippi.
They don't know anything. These guys don't know us from Adam, dude. We don't know these people we're talking to. We don't know these kids. We don't know anybody, dog. We're fish out of Werf. Jacob also grew up in South Mississippi, very close to where I did. And we're literally just kids from South Mississippi, bro, in Dallas, Texas at this point, working an Overwatch League game, ?
You're a PA now?
Yeah, right. And then at that point, I didn't even know what PA meant. So it was just like, so I remember they handed us a run of show, and they told us they were like, and it was Corey Dunn. Shout out Corey, and I've told Corey this. I don't think we'd be here today if it were not for Corey Dunn. Not only in that experience, but in past experience, and other experiences I've had working under him and around him. But they handed us the run of show. They told us we were responsible for ensuring that sponsorship deliverables happen. So this was for Favor, Bud Light, who was the title sponsor, the official beer of esports and gaming. So it was a big deal, GameStop deliverables, really big things, really big deal that they're putting on these 18, 19-year-old kids to us, right? So we were scared, but we knew we had to do a good job because all these things are on the line, right? And so I remember they handed us that run of shows. The first time ever seeing, I didn't even know what a run of show was. I didn't know these things existed, and they handed it to us, and I remember looking at it and stared at it for a little bit, and I looked at Jacob, and I was like, Jacob, I can't read this. I don't know what this means. I don't know what any of this stuff means. I don't know what any of it says. What are we going to do? Because this is our job, and we have to be ready like tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Right. Gotta learn all this stuff in 6 hours, 7 hours.
We don't even know how to read it. We're basically looking at a Greek tablet that we have to submit a homework assignment for. You know what I mean? It's just like, what do we do? And so I remember we asked Jay, who was the host at the time. It was his first time hosting too. Dude, how do we read this? I remember he sat with us for a second and was just like, I'm going to be real with y'all. That's not what mine looks like. I don't know how to help you. He was like, mine has the script, and when I need to talk, that's it. He was like, I'd love to help you, but I can't. And I was like, okay, cool, thank you. You know what I mean? But we were kind of back to square one. It was just like, okay, we're going to have to figure this thing out. And I remember, dude, we went back to the hotel, and I'm skipping some things, but we went back to the hotel that night, and I just felt in trouble. So I just stared at it. You know what I mean? I remember going down to the hotel lobby because that was the only way we could print something like that. I had to be able to print more copies. And I remember, dude, I just printed it out and I stared at it. I just stared in the hotel lobby for like hours, 2-3 hours, bro. Just stared at it, just trying to figure it out. Just what is this? And I think I was Googling stuff. What does TRT mean? What does script mean? What is all these little acronyms they have at the top? What do they mean? And I just remember at some point, after 2 or 3 hours, it just clicked. I was just like, oh, I can read. I know everything. Like I can read this whole thing. This all makes perfect sense. This is what's relevant to me. This is what's not relevant to me. And I just started going crazy. I made my own little copy, my own little Google Drive, and I basically cut out everything that my team didn't need to worry about. So I was like, all right, Jay, this is your stuff. This is all your script reads. This is all your timing. This is where you need to be because we're also responsible for ushering him to these different places. He's involved with these deliverables. And so I was just like, Jay, this is your script. Jay's brother was also working there. I was like, Jerome, this is your script. Jacob, this is your stuff. All the stuff highlighted in yellow is yours. Jerome, yours is red. Jay, yours is blue, mine's purple. It was just like, all right, let's go. Like this is all you guys' stuff. Don't worry about a thing. If you got any questions, let me know. And dude, that was it. And man, we killed it, dog. Like, that's awesome. I haven't felt a feeling like that since then. Like it was magic. Like it was just, man. And it's something that's funny, actually. I remember Jacob and I thought it was cool. We're hearing everybody talking over the whole course of this whole event, right? We're hearing all these internal people talking in our little headset. And I remember Jacob and I just thought, oh, it's fun to talk. We can talk to everybody. And I remember we jumped on just kind of BSing one time, just like having fun, And I remember Corey literally got on the mic and he said, Jacob and Jay, shut up unless it's important. Got it. Thank you, Corey. And that was kind of a lesson for broadcast. Like, hey, unless it's necessary, shut your mouth. You know what I mean? Right. And that's the truth. That's stuff that we talk about now in our broadcast, right? Especially like when you're in those quiet rooms, right? So, yeah, man, we killed it. And like I said, if it weren't for Corey kind of being the way that he was with us, being real, he was hard when he needed to be, and he was soft when he could be.
That's good. That's the person you want.
Yeah, like, man, it was just a great experience, man, and that's what it was. I think he believed in us, and we felt that. You know what I mean? And we did a really good job. That's that. And we knew that. So we did a really good job. And from there, dude, we ended up meeting. We had a crazy day. We're working with all these production people. So Puckett's there, Soey's there, Hex is there. Everybody, everybody who's working in the Overwatch League at the time's there.
Right.
And we ended up meeting everybody at an after party. Got some cash from Puckett because he loved us so much. Shout out Puckett for that,
nice.
dude. Yeah, it was super cool. Met Soey back there. Met Hexagrams back there. He ended up actually hosting one of our esports egg bowls because of that connection.
Oh, cool.
But dude, it was a really cool thing. Yeah, it was just a really cool first experience, and it's definitely past the X Games deal. It's what made me fall in love with really the operations of esports.
Right.
Yeah, so it was awesome. Yeah.
So you're drained. Obviously, it's a heavy workload, a long day.
Yep.
But you mentioned something with Topgolf.
Oh yeah, dude.
And
so yeah,
the after party or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I kind of skipped a couple things. So I remember when we were walking around the days leading up to the event. We're walking around with Justin, who's the event manager, and there's so many important people at this event because it's the first Overwatch League home game. So Activision Blizzard executives are walking around, Overwatch executives are walking around, Bud Light executives are GameStop, the people who own the venue, Envy, Dallas Fuel, all these different teams, right, that are involved with this thing. All these important people are walking around in their business suits, and it's funny, they were all just finger gunning each other. They're we're the 18, 19-year-old kids, and Jacob and I just noticed all these old rich corporate folks are walking around finger gunning each other talking about Topgolf. And every time we're with Justin, we're just hearing them talk about Topgolf and what they're doing. And I just remember, at the end of one of our last training days, Justin was really tired from a long day, and Jacob and I were really tired from a long day.
Yeah.
Because most people were only working like 4 hours a day. Jacob and I were working like 12 to 14 because that's what we were there to do.
Yeah.
And so I remember we were just walking with Justin. Jacob and I, kind of decided that obviously if we weren't getting asked about Topgolf, maybe we weren't meant to be at Topgolf, right? So we kind of got the hint. And so we weren't going to ask about it, but I just remember we were going to get our like staff t-shirts last day before the event started with Justin walking across to the hotel, and he gets finger gunned one last time. Somebody walks past and like, see you tonight at Topgolf, Justin. And we're just like, okay, like, God, another Topgolf, right? And it was funny because Justin was like, he had been asked so many times like that day and maybe within that hour.
Yeah.
He was like, yes. He was like, I'll see you at Topgolf, So Jacob, Jacob was smart for this. Jacob was just kind of like, hey, what's going on at Topgolf, and Justin, again, just kind of tired and probably defeated at this point.
Right.
It was just like, dude, it's just some corporate event. We're all going to go hang out, talk about what we're going to do, this weekend, talk about what everybody's goals in, network. Basically, it's just, corporate private event with all the important people are going to be there. He was like, I would invite you guys, but obviously it'd be kind of inappropriate considering the caliber of people that are going to be there. So yeah, he was just kind of, and Jacob asked, he's like, you guys need to help, can we do anything? And just kind of like, no, again, it's not really a big deal, just gonna be there, drinking and playing golf,
Yep.
And that was it. And so, we ended up walking over to the hotel, getting our t-shirts, and we left. We went to go leave. So we went to Jacob's car, or we went to our car. I think it was a rental at that point. Went to our rental, and we're just sitting in it. I remember we were just sitting in his car, and both of us just called our parents, calling our girlfriends, calling our parents, fangirling about this crazy weekend that's we've already had, and that's also about to unfold. Because at that point, I think we had taken pictures with Puckett and Soey. We had been around some of these people, gotten a little bit of experience working, So we were basically just fangirling. I'll never forget. We were both just fangirling in the car. I think I was talking to my Nana. He was talking to his girlfriend. And he gets a call from a random Dallas number.
Yeah.
And I remember we looked at each other and we're just like, that's weird. Like, what's going on? And at first we were just like, that's weird. We're, the look in our eyes was just kind of like, ignore it. It's not a big deal. And then we looked at each other again. And we were like, wait. we were like, wait, we're in Dallas. Yeah. We were like, well, that could be somebody we're working with, And so we answered it, and it was Justin. And Justin was like, hey, have you guys left yet? We were just like, no, we're still here. He's like, okay, I just found out that we actually do need a little bit of help at Topgolf.
Yeah.
Would you guys mind coming and handing out bracelets? And he was like, if you guys hand out bracelets, we'll give you free food. We'll pay you. And then you can also maybe network a little bit.
Nice.
We're just like, sure. And at this point, again, we're talking about all the important people. All the players are coming to this event. Just all the important people. And Jacob and I are the first people that get to greet them there.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it was really cool. So Jacob and I, we ended up handing out the bracelets. They ended up letting us eat. And then, Justin he actually kind of pushed us like, hey, go network a little bit. Like, go try to network with these people. You're probably not going to be around a lot of these people ever again. So just try to make an impression on them. Try to have conversations with people, for the first time as like a young aspiring professional, right? And so I remember there was 2 conversations I actually remember. The first one's less funny and it was really, really important to me, actually. I remember I had a conversation with Arrow, who's somebody I looked up to at the time. He was the head coach for the Dallas Fuel at the time.
Gotcha.
And I remember he had kind of asked me, what do you want to do? I'm real passionate, real, gung-ho at this point, real excited about esports. You're real young, He's, what do you want to do? And I remember just rambling to him. Oh, I want to be a coach, and I want to be a gym, and I want to do operations, I want to do broadcast, I want to be a caster, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I remember he was just like, cool, pick one.
Yeah.
That's it. He was like, that's awesome. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
He was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
He was like, and I love that. And he was like, I love your energy. I love what you're trying to do. But he's like, nobody wants to hire that. I'm just being real with you. You know what I mean? And he was like, I'm not trying to crush your dreams. I'm not trying to stifle your growth, but he was just like, dude, pick one. And he was like, if you don't like it, pick something else, And that was a really big deal because he was right. At that time, I didn't know if I wanted to be a GM. I didn't know if I wanted to be a director. I didn't know if I wanted to be a player. I didn't know. I just anything. I just didn't know what I wanted to be in esports. I knew I wanted to be in it, but I didn't know quite what. So that was a pretty cool moment for me. Kind of within that night. But another one, and this is like a pretty big lesson, but also turned into part of the rest of my life actually. We ended up going and networking. Like I said, we got some food, and we ended up sitting down with some of the people I mentioned earlier. So it was me and Jacob, and then it was Justin and Jay, so the events manager and the host, and then there's just random guy sitting between them that I didn't know.
Right.
And so we're all sitting down and we're eating and we're just we're all chatting, just being normal. And Justin goes, like I said, we're just sitting there eating. Justin goes, hey, Jay and Jacob, we're young at this point. And this is kind of around the time where like the GameStop conversation was happening, like what's GameStop doing? Where are they going to go? Are they cool anymore? Like, why aren't they cool? Like that's when that conversation kind of started,
Gotcha.
At least for me, And so I remember Justin just kind of asked us like, hey, what do you guys think about GameStop? And we went off. I was young, like I said. And GameStop, for both of us probably was one of those things where it was really nostalgic to us. I grew up going to the GameStop, growing up standing in the line, getting my Call of Duty game, right, getting my Madden game, doing those things with my parents or with my friends or whatever. So GameStop like held a place in my heart. So it hurt me that it was so lame, basically. You know what I mean?
It fell off.
Exactly. Yeah. So I remember just going off about, and we were reasonable about it. We were just like, they could be doing merch, they could be doing this, they could be doing that. Why aren't they doing this? Why'd they change this? Why'd they change that? We were real about it. We were real about it.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, Jacob got a little bit of his stuff off too, but I definitely said the most of it. After we got done, Justin goes, okay, cool. There's a couple seconds of silence. Like, okay. He goes, well, I just wanted to introduce you to my friend here. This is John Davidson, head of global marketing for North American GameStop. Or head of marketing for North American GameStop. Oh. And I remember, I think the lesson there was, you never know who you're talking to, right?
Yeah.
You never know what room you're in. At least that's the lesson that I took from it. But John Davidson actually loved it. And he was like, guys, I agree. He was like, and I think a lot of people who like feel about GameStop or care about GameStop feel the same way. And he was like, guys, I would love for GameStop to hear you. And so we were having conversations about going off to HQ and having conversations with all these people. And again, we're just these kids from South Mississippi talking to the director of marketing,
global marketing,
for North American GameStop. We're just kind of like, okay, this is weird, like what's going on? And so that it was cool. But actually, John ended up becoming one of my mentors over time, and we ended up working a lot with Envy. But John was just a mentor. I don't skip too far ahead, but John was a mentor to us, and like I said, he loved it. We stayed connected. And he was just always a resource, and still is a resource and a mentor to me and us. So that was a pretty cool experience and a couple learning lessons through being able to go to an event that I wasn't really supposed to be at, and then talking to some people that I probably wasn't supposed to talk to. So
wow.
Yep.
Puckett was wild drunk. I have that right here. I wrote that down.
Sorry, Puckett. I might need to get this one. I might need to get that one edited. But, dude, all the guys were having a good time at the. So we ended up going to the GameStop after party. So fast forward to the end of the event, last day. Jacob and I, we did a good job. People had known us, and at that point we were just kind of like, dude, like we want to network. We feel like we're in a place where people know who we are. Like I said, we did a good job. We want to talk about it with these people. We want to figure out where we can go, what we can do, what opportunities are available to us, right? How we can help other people, how they can help us, and I remember telling Justin, we were straight up with him. We were just like, dude, because they had us working the event originally. We were just like, man, like, can we please, you know what I mean? Can we please just go to the event? Can we please go network with these people? Like, please let us, you know what I mean? And he let us. He actually let us go. We got the VIP passes to go to the backstage area because it was like, a fan area in the front, and then like all the players and, casters and all the people working in operations in the back.
Private party.
It basically, yeah. And it was like a ticketed bar. I was 18, 19 years old at the time. But yeah, we like I said, probably not even supposed to be there, like in a lot of situations in this whole weekend. But yeah, like I said, the team, everybody was having a great time, and everybody loved us at that point because we were just doing so much for everybody. Like I said, being PAs, we were kind of floating and helping everybody with a lot of different things. And a lot of people are seeing us help people with different things. So Puckett and Zoe were just loving that, and Puckett was he was talking to us about. He was actually just giving us our props for being so hardworking, and being so like focused, and coming all the way from Mississippi and all that stuff, and just he was giving us our props.
That feels good, probably getting props from Puckett.
Oh man, I mean that's the guy, man. When I talk about like all the COD stuff, I mean he's the guy. You know what I mean? So he's literally him. Yeah, that's him. Like I remember when we walked in, that's what I said. Like Jacob, that's him. That's him. Like, and that's Zoe. Like that's her. Like dang, dude. But yeah, it was really cool, and I remember he was, like I said, he was having a good time. And he was like, guys, he's like, I love you guys so much. He was like, take $20 and have a great night. He was like, you guys don't need to work. You guys don't need to worry about anything. He was like, you guys need to take this money. He was like, don't spend it on anybody else. Don't spend it on anything else. You guys have a good time tonight. We're just like, dang.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah, it was just awesome. We're broke college kids too at the time. So it was just really cool. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, it was pretty
sweet.
Cool. Yep.
The journey home. The weekend ends, the journey home. How do you get home? You got home on a plane.
So yeah, I
came on a plane.
Yeah, I think we flew. Yeah, we flew, or maybe we even bus back. I honestly don't remember how we got back. I want to say we flew because that would make the most sense.
Yeah.
But we definitely had to drive back to campus, and I remember driving back, dude. And when we got back, we both had exams that day.
Yeah.
We had exams that day.
It was finals week, remember?
Finals. Yeah. So it was like. We didn't even take our bags out of the car. Like Jacob dropped me off at the hall that I had to take an exam at because he was already late for his exam that he had to be at. So we literally just left all this stuff in the car. I took my exam. I think I took it outside because like the classrums were locked. It was like a Sunday or something like that. So yeah, I'm sitting outside with my TA taking an exam. And Jacob went off and did it. And that's kind of that was the beginning of I want to say like my professional esports career. Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Kid Collective Company. I want to talk about this.
Sure. Yeah.
I want to know with the start and from the ground up.
Yeah. So we after we did a lot of work with Envy and Optic, or Envy and Dallas Fuel. I eventually decided dropping out was kind of in my cards. It was really one of those things where it's similar to this first weekend where at every moment I was kind of having to choose between what I wanted to do, what I really wanted like in my life, and what I was being told I had to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And man, I just remember, and I was also kind of facing suspension, like real academic suspension at this point, after 2 years of repeatedly failing classes and effectively lying to leadership about the changes I'm going to make, yeah, man, I remember after the 2 years, I decided dropping out was probably the best option for me. It was because really at that point too, it was also like student loans to do the thing that I don't really want to do, or deep dive into this thing, and if it doesn't work out, I could always go back to school, you know, or go back home and pick up the pieces. But yeah, I just remember I took a leap of faith and was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do, and it was already what I was doing, but I didn't have any opportunities at the time. COVID had hit, so there were some of the opportunities that I was working
a little bit
kind of
stuck.
Yep.
I feel like.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm in rural Mississippi, unemployed, really nowhere to go because, like I said, COVID had kind of hit. And so my friends and I, Jacob had just graduated. Allie, who was kind of like my right hand at the time, she's kind of the design person at Mississippi State. We all just kind of got together and decided to start something.
Yeah.
And we knew what we wanted to do, and we knew we wanted to create kind of a tournament admin company because we had done that before, and Valorant had just come out, so we were all really excited about that. But I remember we couldn't come up with a name actually. Couldn't come up with a name for it. And I'm the type where if it's not perfect, it's not right.
Yeah.
Like if we're sitting in a room, we're talking about content. and somebody throws out an idea and everybody's not immediately like, yes, that's it, then it's not it. That's how I feel about things most of the time. So we had thrown out a few names, but nobody had ever gone, yes, you know what I mean? And I remember we were all hanging out one day at Matt's apartment, actually, like Flonson's apartment, and Josh, Med C, he was our CSGO captain, I want to say, when we were at Mississippi State. Yeah, big brain guy. Ended up playing Valorant. So I think he still plays Valorant with Matt, actually, with Flonson. But he, I'll never forget. Yeah, he typed it in Google, and just showed it to me. It was just like the Google homepage, and he just typed Kid Collective in there, and he just pointed at it. We were all just hanging out. We were talking about Kid Collective, or what would become Kid Collective, and he just pointed at it. And I remember everybody looked, and we all went, that's it.
There it is.
That's it.
Nice.
And Kid Collective was born.
Nice.
And so what we ended up doing was we ended up running a community and collegiate circuit in partnership with iBuyPower, because I had partnered with iBuyPower for the lands that we had run. So Bully Land, which was our first ever land that Mississippi State ever ran, and also for the Esports Egg Bowl. I just reached out to them again. I was just like, hey, I'm not in college anymore. I want to do stuff for college. Can you throw us a bone, basically? Is there anything we can do to kind of have a fair value exchange? You guys give us a prize pool or prizing, and we'll do whatever we need to do, like whether that's activations, whether it's sampling, whatever it is, we'll do it. And so they gave it to us, and we ran collegiate tournaments. And actually what ended up happening was it went well. We ran 8 weeks of collegiate tournament over the course of the summer. Everybody signed up. All the tournaments were full and filled, and everything was good. We ran broadcast for it. It was great. What we ended up deciding what we wanted to do was we wanted to take it to the next level. We wanted to stop running tournaments. We wanted to keep running tournaments. We wanted to do more. Yeah. And what we decided what was best was kind of creating what we called fan to stage. So what we thought was a good idea was basically having like a big, huge, open national Valorant bracket where anybody from anywhere could play. And at the end of this, north, south, east, west, 128 teams in each region, all these different teams competing. At the end of it, the winners would become the Kid Collective professional Valorant team. That was our idea. So after this whole big national gauntlet where anybody from anywhere is competing, and you've got kids playing against dads and dads playing against kids, just all these different things.
Anybody who wants to get involved.
That's it, right? Yeah. So it's just like anybody who wants to play and potentially become a professional, this is your shot. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so that's what we were looking to do. And I remember I called John Davidson telling him about what we were trying to do, because I think he was still with GameStop at the time. So I think I was actually just looking for more partnerships. Yeah. And I remember reaching out to him and telling him what we were trying to do. And basically, we were trying to turn it into a real company on top of that. We hadn't made any money. COVID's still here. What are we going to do type of thing? And I remember he connected with one of his friends, Steve, who actually basically took us under his wing at the time. And he was running a marketing company out in Denver, Colorado. And, after some initial conversations about who we were and what we were trying to do, he was like, look, I don't really care too much about what you guys are doing. He's like, Kid Collective's cool, and I love what you guys are doing, but I love you guys. He was like, I really like you, Jay. He was like, I really like Jacob. I really like Allie. I'm going to invest in you guys.
Okay,
we're gonna,
that's
like
awesome.
Revel is going to invest in you guys. We're going to try to turn this thing into a real thing for you. So we ended up flying out to meet him in Oregon, stayed there for basically like a whole coaching weekend, taught us about business, taught about things to think about for business, taught us how to make a business plan, taught us all kinds of stuff.
That's awesome.
It was super cool, super valuable. We surfed. I would say he taught me how to surf, but I quit after a couple hours. It just was not my thing. Water sports I think are my thing, because like I tried doing wakeboarding back home. I grew up on a river, so I tried doing that. Don't like it. I'm good at tubing, but I'm just not good at I'm just not good at wakeboarding or water sports.
I haven't done any water sports myself.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine over here in Arizona, right? But you're from Cali originally, right?
I am from California. So
that's kind of surprising.
Yeah. I just I don't know. I just never really found myself. I tried surfing once, and I was really young and didn't work out.
Yeah.
I got balance issues.
So. Right. Yeah. And I'm the same way. It's just not for me. Right. So like I said, I ended up not doing that too much, but it was a really cool experience. And that's from there. So we were in Starkville, Mississippi at the time, same place we graduated college from. And when we met Steve and went out and met him in real life, we basically decided that this is definitely what we wanted to do. And he was based in Colorado at the time. And Jacob was graduated. Allie was graduated. So we're all just kind of open to doing whatever makes sense. And what we wanted to do at the time was Kid Collective. So we just decided to up and move to Denver, Colorado to try to make Kid Collective work. And we did. I remember we moved that summer, 1 U-Haul, 2 cars, and we moved into a 3-4 bedroom big house. It was a big house in Parker, Colorado. And we started Kid Collective. It ended up not going exactly the way we wanted it to. The team kind of broke up and the company kind of fell to the wayside. But it was a really cool thing and a really big deal, because it's what got me out of Mississippi doing esports, right? It basically made it to where I was sink or swim. You know, it was all or nothing. I was either going back home with my tail tucked, or I was going to keep going. You know, so that was kind of the deal. And like I said, the company didn't end the way we expected it to, but it led me down this kind of different path where I ended up. I actually think I was unemployed for a little bit, and I was kind of between this career path and a different career path that was kind of open to me in Colorado. Yeah. But I ended up not going that way. I actually was digging pretty deep into a different career path and a different industry. But I was still, applying for esports and still trying to figure out esports. And I remember I saw a tweet again. Saw another tweet from Billy this time. Billy's a former Tespa runner admin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Shout out Tespa, love Tespa. Shout out Billy, love you. But Billy ended up sending out a tweet. He was working with Mainline at the time. He was like the collegiate esports expert for Mainline. And they were running the first Learfield IMG Level Next like official Madden tournament, those big Madden tournaments that they were running. And Billy had tweeted out that they were looking for like a Madden subject matter expert. And like I kind of said earlier, I grew up playing Madden. Like that's the game that I grew up playing versus a lot of these people played COD or Fortnite, whatever the games that they grew up playing. Halo, So I grew up playing Madden. I grew up playing sports games. So I just started playing again. So I remember I just reached out and was just like, hey, I know Madden, and so he was like, great, Billy and I knew each other. He was like, I believe in you, I believe you, we did the interview process. He's like, all right, great, let's do it. So we did it and ended up being contracted for them through that fall. I want to say it was fall 2019 or fall 2020, don't remember, fall, winter. But what ended up happening was, I worked with them as a contract admin, and then they just offered me a full-time job. They offered, and that was shocking, dude. Like I remember, and so this is my first full-time job in esports, effectively. And dude, I got the offer over a Discord message and text. Like it was just like, I remember just after a great night, and honestly, it's funny, but I had really kind of like half worked that night. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really put in my full effort that I could have. And they still thought I did a great job, which I thought was hilarious.
That's awesome.
It was great.
Imagine with your full potential.
Exactly, right?
Like,
no.
Oh my God, this guy needs to run the whole world.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So they just reached out and was like, hey, are you interested in full time? And I was just like, yeah. Like I don't know how I'm paying rent next month. Like, yes. Yeah. I ended up working with them until they laid me off. Actually. Me and Mainline ain't cool. That's all right. Yeah. They ain't cool in collegiate. That's all right. But yeah, they ended up laying me off. And from there, same kind of deal. Like I was kind of lost a little bit. Didn't really know. Denver, Colorado. Fish out of water. Really fish out of water. At that point, I'm on a different side of the Mississippi. I was kind of defeated. To be honest, I was kind of lost, a little defeated. And it took me a while to get back to it. Yeah, I would say it took me a month or two to kind of get my momentum back and decide that I am who I am and I'm gonna go where I want to go. And like I said, I had these two different career paths, this industry that I wanted to get involved in, and esports that I love so much. And I was really close actually to diving into a different industry. And by the grace of God, honestly, I would say I was applying in both places, but I got a call from John Kalua, or an email from John Kalua, after I'd applied for the GCU job. And he was John, and he's this way. He's a quick, rapid fire. Let's do it now. He's like me, and I think that's part of the reason why we get along, or why we mesh well together and work. But yeah, he was just like, hey man, can you jump on a call in like a day, or like tomorrow, or like it was something ridiculous. It was something like a day or 2 days or an hour, or something like for the first call. And I was like, yeah, duh. You know what I mean? Like you're one of the 3 people calling me back right now. You know what I mean? So duh, yes, I'll talk to you. So we talked about it, told him about my experience. He loved it. And told me that basically the job was between me and another highly qualified applicant. And he's just like, I'm being honest with you. I'm just between you and another person. I'm gonna keep asking you guys questions until I decide who's the best man. And so he did that. We met that first time. He's like, hey, I might call you back. I might not. I'll let you know. I'll let you know what's going to happen regardless, but I might call you back. I might not about the position. So left it. Don't really know what's going to happen. At this point, I've hardened enough to know that, like, hey, this might not happen. I'm not like, oh, I'm going to get this job, because I'd done that for like 3 years with the Dallas Fuel. At this point, I'm like, okay, until I sign a contract, it's not real.
It's not legit.
Yeah, exactly. So, I was just kind of in that place where, I was just like, I'm not, if it works out, great. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul, right? And so that was kind of the way that I was looking at it. But I remember John, again, he hit me like a day or two later and was just like, hey, could you jump on the phone in like an hour? Wow. I've got some quick questions for you.
Quick, yeah.
Yeah, and we ran through it. He wanted to ask me really specific questions just about like, I remember he asked me like content management systems, and have you ever managed this type of people, and have you ever done this, and you ever done that, and have you ran tournaments before, you ever done, just all these different things that they knew they wanted to see in the program that we're doing now. And I answered all of them, and I remember It was either that call or the next conversation we had. He was just like, "You're the guy." He was like, "I want to hire you."
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think you're really qualified for the position. What do you want? And so we had that conversation about what I wanted.
Yeah.
And man, I want to say, within the month, I was out in Phoenix, Arizona.
Nice.
Yeah, within the month, they moved me out here. They paid for it all. They put me up in the GCU hotel.
Yeah.
They treated me right. I tell everybody
That's
that.
awesome.
I think GCU really treated me right. I don't think a lot of companies have to treat you that well, and I feel like they really did treat me really well.
That's great.
Yeah, and they still treat me well. But yeah, that's kind of, yeah, after all of that, that's kind of how I got here. Yeah, that's kind of how I got here.
What a ride.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
what
that's
a
how
ride.
I got here. So
amazing.
Yep.
Oh, man. And now Gcu Esports thriving.
Gcu Esports is thriving, man.
Right now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
We're doing a lot.
Yeah. What's your relationship with Alex? I know you guys are pretty tight.
Alex. Alex Rowland. Yeah. So actually, after I lived in the hotel for a little bit, I didn't have anywhere to go, and honestly, I was trying to stack cash. I was broke. Like I didn't really. I was unemployed before, like I said, and I didn't have any way of creating any savings because I was hardly surviving out in Colorado. So I needed to find a cheap place to live, so I could kind of stack some cash to get a car and live and be an adult, you know. And so John, actually, my boss, ended up telling me hey, I know somebody looking for a room, and at this time, Alex is your broadcast manager now. But before, she was actually just working in the athletics department, doing a lot of the video board stuff. And so John was just kind of hey, and Alex was a former student worker of John's. And he was just kind of I've got this girl, she's got an open room, love to offer it to you, it's super cheap, what do you think? So Alex and I kind of got together. We ended up having a FaceTimed her in front of a Target. My girlfriend was in the passenger seat. Just kind of hey, are you normal? Am I normal? What are the terms? You want to do month by month? How much are we gonna pay? What are the rules? And that was basically it. And I ended up living with Alex before I hired her for a month or two. Because I got out here in October. She got hired in December, January, I want to say. She was. I lived with her for about 2 months before I eventually. We got the broadcast position open. She was the first full-time hire after me, because it was me and Albert, and then this broadcast manager that we're bringing in to run these streams that we do now. After I lived with her for a couple months, John kind of put it in my ear to potentially hire her, and we eventually did. So we were roommates and coworkers for about a month.
Nice.
It was really cool. We talked about it a lot because we would do this thing where, and you see us we work hard, right? We work a lot while we're here. We would go home and keep working. That was our problem. And it wasn't that we'd keep working; is that we'd go home and talk, and we just talk and talk and talk about esports, and it's great. But it's just at a certain point, we're all right, we have to stop talking when we come home about work, because it's just we have to turn it off, So it was cool, but there came a point where Alex and I were dude, we gotta stop. We gotta stop talking about work every single minute of every single day, right? So it was cool, but it was a cool experience living with Alex. It was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Wow, and here we are.
Yep, here we are. Look at us.
I have you to thank. I have Alex to thank. I have everybody to thank for me being able to be in this position right here.
Yep.
That's
thank yourself.
Great.
Yeah, you can thank yourself.
Woo. Legendary.
Appreciate it, man.
That's a great story.
Yeah,
inspiring.
Appreciate it.
Truly.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate it, man.
All right, I'm gonna do a little thing that I do with everybody.
Sure.
I'm just gonna rapid questions. Just
okay.
Quick questions.
All right,
rapid.
cool. Yeah, quick time with slime, right?
Yeah. All right. Top 3 cheeses.
Top 3 cheeses.
Top 3 cheeses of all time.
Oh, Gouda. Cheddar.
Not
American. Swiss.
Okay.
All right. Yep. Gouda's definitely top.
I'd go in mozzarella.
Okay.
Provolone. And pepper jack.
Wait, can I start over?
You can start over.
All right. Gouda. I agree with pepper jack's third.
Okay.
I still have cheddar in the middle, so I'll just put pepper jack third. Yeah.
Nice.
Cheddar's good. Yeah.
I like that. So you're here. You're at GCU.
Yep.
How long ago did you so you got hired as the director? When did you start that?
I know the exact date. October 25th, 2021.
October 25th, 2021.
October 25th, 2021.
So you are a year, 2 years?
A little over a year now.
A little over a year
now. Yep.
That's awesome.
October, November, December. Yeah, so I'd be at 4 months, a year and 4 months. So yeah, a year and some change.
That's awesome.
Yep. Really excited about it.
Okay, I'm just trying to think of what things you have planned. Do you have anything ready for us?
Man.
Anything that us
that I can talk about?
Workers don't know yet.
Right.
Anything that you want to give us?
We're getting ready to launch a website. A new team store. A new team store.
Oh, awesome.
Yep. So we have our website obviously already, but we're getting ready to launch a team store.
That's awesome.
Merchandise and apparel is really important to me. I'm sure you guys have caught on to that.
Yeah.
yeah, we're getting ready to launch a team store. We're going to be doing a lot of drops. We're getting ready to do an athleisure drop. That's going to be the big thing that we're doing.
What you're wearing with esports.
Oh, we're going to get one. Yeah, I've already. Okay. I know the garment number. I've already got it.
Oh,
yeah, I'm already working on it. Yeah, trust me, I got it.
You got it.
Yeah, these things are cool. Yeah.
Large.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, we're working on a lot of that stuff, and like I said, what we're really getting ready to do is dive deep into the merchandise and apparel stuff.
That's awesome.
I see retail, or merchandise and apparel retail being a really big part of what we're doing here. It already has been, right? Like it's been a big revenue. That's something we stood up this year with the membership package. It's been a big revenue driver that the program benefits from. So, we're doing that, and that's really exciting. We're getting ready to do summer camps. That's something that nobody really knows about. Yeah, so we're June and July this year. We're partnering with Fit Gamer and Cloud9 to kind of run some summer camps for the local schools around here. So that's gonna be really cool.
Awesome.
What else we got going on? We're going to DreamHack in April.
Oh.
Yeah, DreamHack San Diego on April 7th through 9th.
Nice.
Yeah, we're going to bring all of our scholarship teams. It's going to be really cool. We did that at Mississippi State, actually. I was there. We brought like 8 teams or something like that. Everybody plays top 3. It was really cool. I actually got kicked out of the LAN, the BYOC area. Shout out to Bobby. Love you, Bobby. But Bobby, actually, he works at Riot now.
Yeah.
He was the Clemson captain for the Overwatch team, I believe. Right. If I had this right, I believe Bobby was in the BYOC area and was one of the people that reported us for being a little bit too loud. Which, to be fair, there are pictures out there, and we were rowdy. Yeah. To be fair, we were probably being a little bit too rowdy because those BYOC areas are really close together, and we had like 40 people there on top of, like, it was 40 people total, so it was like 20 players, 20 staff basically. Yeah. Maybe like 25, 15. But yeah, we were hype, and we ended up getting kicked out of the BYOC area. Yeah, while we were there. But yeah, hopefully I won't get kicked out. And I remember, shout out Leoko, Guadalupe's friend. Shout out Guadalupe too. Tony. I don't call him Tony, so that'll be funny that I did. Yeah. But yeah, I remember Leoko was one of our photographers, and she pulled me aside. I was a Coke ambassador at the time, and also obviously the president of the club. She pulled me aside. And she was like, "Hey, don't forget that you like represent, one of the biggest brands in the world and also one of the biggest schools in the country." I was like, "Shut up, leave me alone."
I'll do what I want.
Yep, and that's literally what I said. I was like, "I'm gonna do what I want. Leave me alone. You take pictures of it. Appreciate it." Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. And then 30 minutes later, we got kicked out. So maybe I should have listened. Maybe I should have listened. But yeah, that's something we got exciting going on. I would say that's the big part. We're also doing a tailgate at the Celebrity Flag Football game on February 11th.
I heard about that. Unfortunately, I will not be there.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm very bummed
it's
because
good,
there are going to be a lot of cool people
RG3
that are
going to
be
there. Frankie Muniz, Josh Richards.
Jealous.
Yep. Sugar Sean O'Malley's going to be there.
Yeah.
Yep. Doug Flutie. Yeah. Michael Irving. Yeah. It's going to be cool.
Like, I'm a huge football fan.
Sure.
I think we've talked about this earlier in the year. You're a Saints fan, right?
Yeah. Grew up. Yep. It's an Saints fan right now. Yeah. I haven't. Actually, I tweeted about this recently. I haven't watched the Saints game since the 2019 pass interference call. And this is the truth. I don't get upset about sports. I don't get upset about esports. Typically it takes a lot for me to get like physically upset, like verbally upset, for me to act on how I feel, when it's like rage or anger.
Yeah.
Dude, I threw so many things.
Oh man.
I've never thrown things ever for any reason. And I was laying down. I don't get hype about things like that normally. I normally get excited. I normally don't get mad.
Right.
Man.
Who were you with? Do you remember who you were with?
My girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. She was scared, bro. Like, she was like, "That's not cool, dog." She was like, "That is not cool." And I didn't go crazy, you know what I mean? But I threw my remote, turned off the TV, cursed a little bit. I was upset, man. I was just, because like, we're the Saints, man. It happens to us all the time. That's really what it was. It had just happened to us like the year before.
Right.
It was Drew's last year.
I
was hurt, and I realized, because I just haven't been watching sports. It's just not really something I'm interested in, like right now at least. And yeah, I remember just wondering. I was thinking to myself, like, why aren't we watching sports? And when's the last time we did watch sports, like, seriously? And I finally hit me the other day. I haven't watched since that pass interference call in 2019. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Traumatizing.
So it is. And I mean, also, dude, Drew left. Sean Payton left.
Yeah.
I don't think Mark Ingram's there anymore either. Is he still? I wouldn't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, he
I'm
might
not
be.
Sure.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, I know Tyrann Mathieu and Jarvis Landry are there now. And that's really cool to me, because my brother was actually a coach at LSU for a while, so that's really cool that they're kind of back.
That's awesome.
Yep. So that's really cool.
That is cool.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, it's cool, but yeah, I've been kind of checked out on the sports thing recently. Yeah, I've been checked out. So
I gotcha.
Yep.
I gotcha. Well, obviously what's happening. It's the Celebrity Flag Football thing.
Yep.
Happening here.
Yep.
How did that happen?
So I believe, this is just a thing that they do. Like, Celebrity Sweat is what it's called. I think they're just kind of like a revolving event that goes around to big venues or big things happening. So obviously the Super Bowl happening in Phoenix, Arizona.
I gotcha.
So I think really we just kind of won the host for it. Like, we just, they decided for
Nice.
GCU, and it didn't have anything to do with esports. They just decided GCU was going to be the host for this event. And frankly, we're just neighbors with the partnerships guy. Shout out Ty. I love Ty, and he loves us. And I just asked him, like, hey man, is there anything we can do? Because I've had some opportunities again at Mississippi State where we had bigger athletes like Jake Mangum or like Dak. We didn't do anything with Dak, but like we were looking to do stuff like T-Pain because he came through for like a big concert one time.
Cool, yeah.
We just had opportunities like that where these people that were important, and also like loved, like highly regarded by their community, like the community that we were in either case. I know that if I can get a jersey on that person, then I might pick up a couple more love, or a little bit more love. So I just reached out. I just told Ty, I was like, hey man, is there any way we can get RG3 in a esports jersey? Is there any way we can go out there and be on the sideline, maybe take a picture with them? It's just something, something we can do to have esports be involved with the event. And like I said, Ty loves us and knows that we do a good job whenever we show up to places. And so he's basically like, hey man, if you guys can commit to helping us out and also have an esports show up to the event, we can at least introduce you guys and see what they're willing to do. And so we met with the team, and they're basically like, look guys, we'll give you the tailgate space. We'd love to give you tailgate space. We give you some media passes. And you guys can come out and do your thing. Just please bring some people. So that's basically it. And we told them we wanted to meet RG3 and this and that, but hopefully by the time it happens, they basically just told us days like that are hectic. So if RG3 gets a couple minutes and he wants to come take a picture, we're gonna be able to do it. So that's sweet. It was basically just like hey, we're gonna fair trade. You guys are helping us with the event, and with maybe attendance, and we'll try to throw you a bone with some of the things that you want to do. So that's kind of it. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah. So it was born out of the partnerships relationship.
That's great.
That we have. Yep.
That's great. I have we'll continue, but I have to do my general question that I always ask everybody who comes. It's about the paperclip. Have I told you about the paperclip story?
No.
Okay, it's not a paperclip story. It's kind of like a riddle in a way.
Sure.
All right, so I'm gonna give you a paperclip.
Okay.
And you have to hide it in your house for 24 hours.
Okay.
A professional investigator, or like they're gonna come and find it. A professional paperclip finder, like the best of the best. They're gonna come to your house and they're gonna search your house for 24 hours.
Okay.
If they find it, you lose. But if they don't find it, $1 million. Do you know where you would hide your paperclip?
I don't know. If I did, I don't know if I'd want to share it on the internet, because that might be where I hide anything.
That's
but
true.
let me think about it for a second. My mind immediately goes to like small places that have hollow spaces that you wouldn't expect, right? So like one of the first things that popped into my head was maybe if you have like a staircase in the middle of your house, like maybe the end pole, the handrail that you have, maybe like in the middle of the handrail, what I mean, like inside the handrail, something like that. That's what I would think, inside of something like that.
Yeah,
like maybe inside like a handrail.
Like, he's gonna rip apart your house
for sure. Yeah, and he can do that.
He's got to find it
for sure,
and you get $1 million if you don't.
Yeah, I'm thinking in the handrails, or maybe somewhere inside the handrail. That's what I would say. Somewhere inside the handrail, or maybe just because like I grew up in the South and we have these. You know how you have those porches with like the undercarriage underneath it. It's got like the mesh and like the lattice under it.
I think so
it's just basically a porch. It's got maybe like a foot or two of just like space between it and the ground, the foundation and the house.
Okay, I got it. I got it now.
So but I would maybe hide it there, just because like when I was growing up, that place was always like really dark and scary and gross. So I don't think you're gonna find a paperclip down there. But that's just me, maybe being scared of the dark. So
there you go.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep.
Do you have any questions for me? Do you wanna...
Dude, I mean, how does it feel to be the GCU Esports podcast host? How's it been?
It's been so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember it was summer and Alex gave me a call.
Yep.
Asking about like, we gonna do broadcast this year? Do you want to be back on the team? I'm like, yeah, of course, totally. And then we were talking and she was like, we're starting a new thing. We're doing a podcast. Do you want to be the host? And I was like, yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yes. Immediately. Yes. Yep. Because anytime I feel like there's an opportunity, I'm gonna take it
for sure. Yeah.
Like I'm working over the weekend at the convention center.
Awesome.
For the Super Bowl fan experience and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so I'm super excited because it's just like I've learned from my mother to just do things.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, the Nike thing doesn't lie, man.
Yeah. Yep. It's more of just do it.
Yep.
It's more of who you know instead of what you know.
100%.
And I've really drilled that into my brain now. Yep. And so regardless of if I'm enjoying it or not, you just got to do it.
Yep, that's it. Yep, and I agree.
Sponsor us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think they actually already do. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do.
yeah. I think we're a Nike school, Jack. Yeah. But no, yeah, I would agree, dude. And I think the magic, honestly, that happens for a lot of young people, and I think you'll be one of these. I mean, you're already one of these young people doing it, and that will grow because of it. I think the magic is when you know that fact, right? It's definitely about, it's more about who you know and where they are, right? Rather than just what you know, right? Yeah. And maybe the experience or lack thereof that you have, right? But I think again, the magic is kind of somewhere in the middle where, and it's not really somewhere in the middle. It's just when you have both. Yeah, that's to me is really where the magic is when you're super capable and willing, and then you also know people, because that's kind of the position I found myself in now. It's just like, and as a young person, I'm only 23 years old, going on 24 now. But yeah, I would say that's where the magic is, dude. Like, because you're in a place now, obviously you're doing things, like you do things for us, so I know you do good work. But it's like, yeah, if you can take the good work and combine it with the want to learn and do more and connect with people that can help you do that, or you can help them do that, I think that's really where the magic is, and that's how you can go from maybe just being an esports kid or just being a podcast kid to being an esports podcast kid, or you know, doing something for another company or starting your own company, you know. So I agree with the whole just do it thing, because I think if you drive your life that whole way, then you'll find yourself somewhere in the middle where you know a lot of people and know a lot of things, and you just keep doing things.
Keep running. Yep. Do you have any words of like inspiration for the younger kids?
Words of inspiration.
Just like if they're thinking about esports but they're too nervous, or they just like don't know if it really leads anywhere. Do you have anything that you want to tell them?
I mean, one thing, I probably got a few. One of the ones I would say is the same thing that Arrow told me when I was 18, 19 years old. You know, pick something and stick to it.
Yeah.
It's not one of those things where, you know, you can't be a caster and a designer and a producer and a coach and you know, whatever. You can be anything you want to be. I wholeheartedly believe that. And you can do all of them at the same time if that's what you want to do. But from doing it myself and getting the advice from somebody who kind of advised me to do that and who did it themselves, I think it is smart to pick a section in esports that you know you want to work in. If it's design, do that. If it's production, do that. If it's broadcast, do that. If it's content, do that. You know, if it's being whatever it is, you know, pick it and do it. And like we were kind of talking about earlier, if you decide like, hey, I tried casting for a month and I don't like it, throw it away. Yeah. Casting's off the table. Now we're talking about directing. Oh, you don't like that? Maybe broadcast just not your thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And now we're gonna try social media. You know. Yeah. But I would say try everything. But once you find something that you like, stick to it and go really deep. Because the truth is like, and this is, I would say, the second part, and it's something that everybody in esports says who ends up getting, you know, some kind of position here, is really just that, man. Like, liking games isn't enough. Yeah. It never has been, and it never will be. I thought that, again, in Arrow's face. I love games. I love Overwatch. Hire me. You know, that's not enough, dude. Everybody loves games. Everybody that works here loves games. They love working in esports. Bottom line, they'd kill. Most of us would kill. I mean, most people would kill to be in esports. You know what I mean? 100%. So it's like, if you want to be here, dude, you got to really be willing to do the work. Yeah. I think a lot of people, and this kind of leads me to another point. A lot of people talk about the work you have to do, and there's a lot. There's a lot, and when I say a lot, I don't just mean a lot of what you have to do. I mean a lot after the things you do, what you have to do. Like, after Jacob and I go to work at this event, I'm jumping on social media and doing stuff for MSU Esports. Yeah. You know what I mean? And after I'm done doing stuff for Fuel and MSU Esports, I'm jumping on my own social media to make a vlog about what we're doing. You know what I mean? To push my brand so people know that I'm a young kid trying to come into the, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's one of those things where not only do you have to do what you have to do, but you also do like what you need to do. Yeah. You know, and I think there's a disconnect, especially with, and I say this as a young person who kind of had to gain an understanding myself. I think there's a disconnect between, you know, maybe like the older group of esports and this newer, younger group of esports, and the amount of work that you have to do to get to this spot. You know, like I said, I think a lot of people think you can just play games, you just kind of like develop an understanding and kind of fall into it and get kind of lucky and, oh, I'm working in gaming, you know, working in esports. But dude, that's never going to be the case. Really, because everybody here loves this stuff. You know, they love it. So, I would say be willing to do the work. And that comes with networking. I think that's a really big thing. I know it's a big thing people overlook, because I did it, and it was a big helper for me. I would say be super willing to network, because again, if you have a bunch of experience but nobody to tell about, who cares?
Do you have any tips, like, for just like, it's like a lot of people, I feel like I struggle myselh just walking up to somebody. Yeah. Like, what do you say? Like, how do you? I
would say just introduce yourself, dude. Introduce yourself and tell people what you do and where you're trying to go. Gotcha. That's what I always did, and that's what was taught to me. And really, like, the other two parts, and this is kind of just gets into like the psychology of those types of meetings, those types of conversations, is like, I always tried to lead the conversation as a way of, how can I help you? That was always like, obviously everybody knows, like, if I'm walking up to you, I probably want something from you. You know what I mean? Like, probably. And you know that when I walk up to you, you know, especially when we're like a mixer, you're wearing your name tag, you know, like if I walk up to you and I'm a young 19-year-old, you probably know I'm going to want something from you, right? But if I lead with, hey, I'm Jay, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm trying to do, and I'd love to help you if it fits into these things that I'm doing. You know what I mean? And then after that whole conversation, hey, could you help me figure this thing out? Or, hey, could you point me in the right direction for this thing that I'm trying to figure out? I would just say, introduce yourself, be open and honest about who you are and where you're trying to go, and then be helpful. And really that's, in a different set of words, provide value to people. Yeah. That's really what it is. Be valuable. And if you're not valuable, gain knowledge.
Find a way to
be valuable. Yeah. That's it. Because if you're not valuable, people aren't going to spend their time talking to you. That's what it is. Because once you get out of the college world, dude, that's what it's about. It's about value. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if you're not valuable, that's it.
What can you contribute?
That's it, man. Yeah. And it's not just work; it's life. Your wife's not going to love you. If you're not contributing to the household, like you're saying, your friends aren't going to love you if you're not contributing to the friendship, right? So you gotta contribute. You got to do your part. So that's what I would say. And then something that I feel really strong about, that I personally think that a lot of the old heads in esports don't do a great job of talking about, Hastros and Hexes and Nade Shots of the world. And I'm sure they do, but I just don't hear it enough for as strongly relevant as I feel it to be. I think luck plays a really big part in all this. I think I knew the right people. Yeah. I had the right information, but 100 times out of 100, I was in the right place at the right time. Yeah. 100 times out of 100. Agree. Like I said, sitting in my bathroom with my friend DMing Justin about working for Dallas Fuel and him, right place, right time. Yep. I'm looking at the tweet at the right place. Justin sees it at the right time. It's stuff like that. And every opportunity that I've had has been, and this, people talk about this, I think luck is kind of the intersection of opportunity and hard work. Yeah. You don't get luck unless you get opportunity, unless opportunity is available and you work hard. Yeah. And I believe that opportunity only knocks when you're working hard. I agree. And you can only get lucky. So to put all these pieces together, you can only get lucky when opportunity knocks, and opportunity only knocks if you're working hard. And when I say working hard, I'm not talking about working 8 hours a day. Yeah. I'm talking about not sleeping. And I know that sounds crazy, especially in this world where grind culture is a thing and people aren't. Dude, I didn't sleep when I was doing the MSU Esports thing. Yeah, I feel that. And when I was sleeping, I wasn't eating. And if I wasn't eating, I wasn't going to class. And I'm not suggesting that you don't eat and you don't sleep.
Don't kill yourself.
Don't, dude. And
get there. Just there's suffer.
Be willing to sacrifice. Yeah, exactly. That's what I would say. Be willing to sacrifice and be willing to make real sacrifice. Yeah. Sacrifice is not playing games at night. Because that's what I thought it was for a little bit. And it made me sad, but that's a very small piece of it, right? Like I haven't played games this week. That's just part of it, dog. Yeah. That's just part of where I'm at. You know what I mean? But dog, like you said, dude, I remember Thanksgiving. My grandparents are no longer here. Actually, it's crazy now. My great grandparents. I missed one of the last Thanksgivings I had with them to work an event for esports. Yeah, that's a real sacrifice. That is sacrifice. My grandma was calling me, asking me why I'm not at home while I'm making money, instead of being home with family. Yeah. And sure, I can explain it to her, I'm doing esports, I'm doing this, and please understand. But to my great-grandma, who's 90 years old from South Mississippi, I chose money over family. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's that, So, but I'm willing to have that conversation and feel that way because I'm trying to go where I'm trying to go. So I got to sacrifice the time. I got to sacrifice the feeling to get where I'm trying to go, So, and I think even that year, and I haven't done it since because I care a lot about my family, but even that year after that, I worked that Christmas, I want to say, and maybe even that New Year, you know what I mean? And like I said, being a Southern kid from Mississippi, family is important, So that's a real sacrifice, and even there's a Jim Carrey quote that's out there that says, if you're not willing to change your lifestyle for a year, then you care to get where you're trying to go. Then you care more about what other people think than where you're trying to go. And I think that's a part of it too. I think you have to be willing to kind of downsize your lifestyle. Like I talked about living with Alex for a few months to be able to kind of stack up, be where I want to be. I think you have to be willing to kind of change your lifestyle. You have to be willing to not care about the things that everybody cares about.
I'm with you 100%. Yep. I've had this conversation so many times with so many different people about don't care so much about what other people think about you. Just do your thing. You'll get there, and then they'll think, oh, great. And then you can kind of feel oh, okay, kind of feels good. But don't worry about it right now. Focusing on yourself. I feel like, especially right now, I'm 21 years old. I'm just learning to, I guess, network and just figuring out a way to get to where I want to be without having to care about what other people think about me.
And I really think, and obviously everybody talks about the social media thing. I think that is a big part of it. But man, I truthfully believe just kind of living my life this way right now. And obviously I struggle. I'm a human being and I'm young. But I really believe that once you get out of I'm not going to say the matrix because that's a weird term that people are throwing around right now. But once you get out of that weird feeling that everybody's plugged into you and everybody's seeing what you're doing, everybody cares about what you're doing, right? Basically, because Ethan and I talk a lot about this. Once you realize that you don't matter,
Yeah.
That what you're doing doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Life becomes a lot easier.
It
you know,
does.
and
It
I would
really
say,
does.
and it's in that moment where you go, I don't care what everybody's doing. I don't care what everybody thinks about what I'm doing. I'm just gonna do what I do.
I agree.
That's when when the magic happens to me. So Ethan and I talk a lot about it because I'm important to me. You're important to me. You're important to your parents. I'm important to my parents. We're important to the world. You know what I mean? But in the grand scheme of things, at least in my opinion, not that important. You know what I mean? We are to the world and in our moment and to the people exactly to the things and people that we're important to. We're important, but I think having that understanding that okay, maybe esports is the biggest thing going on. Having a perspective again, that maybe esports is the biggest thing going on, and that allows you to kind of think differently about what's going on and maybe think creatively for different solutions and stuff like that. So I would just say that's what I would say.
All right.
Yep. So and then maybe what else would I say? So I talked about the luck. I talked about the hard work. I talked about the sacrifice. I think another big part, and this is really for young men, dude. I think because this is something that I'm getting better at, and I feel like I'm a lot better at than a lot of young men my age, is emotional intelligence, dude. Like I think that plays a really. Allie, actually, I love her for this. I'll always love her for this. Like there's nothing anybody can ever do to take that away from me. I remember, again, I was really brash, really hot-headed at MSU. Didn't always go my way, and things didn't always have to be that way. And I learned that because Allie came up to me after a certain point and was like, dude, like probably after I made her cry, you know what I mean? After I said something to her in a way that I didn't have to, just like, hey man, you can't talk to people like that. You can't act like that. You know what I mean? You can, but it's not going to work, And I've found, I'll lose this person or this project didn't happen or that project didn't happen. And it's because here I lost my mind. Here I said something I shouldn't have. Here I could have probably reworded it, and emotional intelligence in the workplace is important, but that, when she came to me and said, hey, you need to practice some emotional, that was the first time I ever heard that term. She came to me and told me I need to practice that and really gain it. I had none. I think it relates to work, but I also think it kind of relates to what we were talking about with caring about, not caring about what other people think and caring about what you have going on and only caring about those things. I think it also goes for self too, because I think there's a serious amount of strength that comes with knowing how you feel, owning how you feel, and being able to communicate to yourself and others why and how you feel what you feel. And so I would say, for any young person listening out there, especially young men, practice emotional intelligence, practice being emotional. I think crying's a great thing. I love crying. It always makes me feel better. So yeah, man, I think, if you're out there and you're trying to figure things out, whether it's esports or not, I think try to get in touch with your emotions a little bit.
All right.
Yep, that's what I would say.
Awesome. Anything else?
Nah, man, I had a blast.
This was great,
man. I love, and I know everybody knows this. Shout out to the world. I love more than talking. I love to hear myself talk. So this has been great.
It's good. We'll rewatch this and just kind of dive in and you go, that was a great thing you said. Jack.
Right? Yeah.
Great
I'd
job.
be like, good job, me. Yeah. Cool.
I really liked the input you had right there.
Right. Yeah. Go me. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. All right. Well,
it was a pleasure, dude.
Awesome.
Yeah. Appreciate you so much, man.
Appreciate you, dog. A great time.
It's been great.
We're very excited to keep these coming out. We're gonna do a couple more.
Definitely. Alex and Marissa next, right?
Alex
and then all the students.
And
then we're in.
People who else after those two? We'll figure out anybody else wants to come on.
Yep. I know, Mitch. You're in it. You're in the list, Mitch.
Yeah, I got you. I got you in your Mitch. All right.
It's been great, dude.
It's been awesome.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Obviously, like, subscribe, share, everything. Do notifications. Make sure you guys are letting people
follow
know.
me on Twitter, Deshaun Jason, DESHONG JASON.
Yes, do that. and I'm on Twitter as well. I'm everything Jack, but the second E in everything is gone, and the I in thing is gone.
Try to do that 3 times fast.
Yeah. All right, but that's going to conclude this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're excited to keep these coming out for you, and make sure to subscribe. Throw the notifications on so you're staying tuned with what's coming out. A lot of things coming up in the esports world here at GCU. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll see you guys next time.